This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa. You're not Mickey Mouse, you're a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Oh, welcome to Rat Castle, a progressive chat about theme park magic without the pixie dust. I'm Nathan Hartman, and with me tonight, today, this morning, this evening, and this afternoon, wherever you're listening, on the road, on the sea, on the land, is Dave Cobb. Hello, Dave. Dave is muted. On the muted.
Oh, God.
On the audio.
Well, hello. I was fixated when you said no pixie dust, and I'm like, pixie sticks. I just couldn't get that out of my head.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, everybody. This is actually in November, of course, but
It's Christmas.
it's Christmas time. Of course it's Christmas time. We love Christmas. I mean, it is, of course. The most wonderful time of the year, of course.
How do we make that into the budget?
Well, here's how this use. It's under 30 seconds, and it's used inside of a joke, so that's satire, and we make no money off of this product. So
We just got a lesson, you guys, from Professor Nathan.
Yeah,
Please don't sue.
yeah, that was free. Yeah, if Andy Williams wants to come back from the dead and sue me, that's fine, because I'd like to meet Andy Williams. That'd be nice. Anyway, speaking of America's new Andy Williams, Saara. Hi, Saara.
Hello, I'm back
Yeah, I don't
in
know.
the US of A.
Yeah, I don't know how
Pronouns
you're
are
Andy
USA.
Williams. I don't.
I don't
know.
know.
Do you sing? Is that a thing?
No, I wish I could sing. No. I think
No.
birds die as soon as they hear my voice.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Welcome back to the United States. I hope you're enjoying your healthcare and all the other stuff we provide here in America. So
Yes, the abundance of
Yeah.
the American system.
yeah, it's
Love
great.
it.
It's super good. No, but weird. I mean, you just got off the plane. What? Yesterday?
No, this morning.
This morning. That's right. It
Oh,
was.
boy.
My
Yeah.
God, what a long day it's been.
We slept most of it. So
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
good.
Kind of girl.
Yeah.
She's back at it. Now, I just want to make it very clear here. Could you just run us through the map? Where did you start?
Okay. So, where did I start? Okay, so it was 3 months ago. My mom and I were just like, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna get out of here. We went to Egypt. But first, before Egypt, we had a transit in Italy for like a few days. It was nice. And then, but also I'm gonna give you guys like a water breakdown. I would say that out of all the places that I've been to, Italy has the worst water. Like
Hmm.
I don't know why, but their water tastes like it has bleach and acid in it. I have no idea. But anyways, so we get to Egypt, spend a good deal of time there. From Egypt, I went up to Saudi Arabia. Then from Saudi Arabia, we went to the United Arab Emirates. Got to spend, if you guys listened to the last episode, got to spend some
Mhm.
time in Abu Dhabi
Mhm.
as well as in Dubai. Then I was like, you know what? Feeling a little bored, and I'm here. Flights are cheap. Sped up to Paris. I was like, you know what we're gonna do at Disneyland Paris?
But how long is that flight? This is something we talked about in the text in our chats. An 8-hour flight is not like a hop, but
It is, but to me, it is because I'm used to a 16-hour flight.
valid.
So for me, an 8-hour flight is like, oh, okay, that's a short flight. It's a little trip.
Yeah.
And then from
Now,
Paris,
is your
went
mother
back
with you
to-
for all of this, or is she
No.
staying in? Where is she? She's in Egypt.
So we separate. No, so once we got to Saudi Arabia,
Okay.
she went back to California, and then I was like, you know what? I need some time. So I continued on without them.
I see.
And it was a nice vacation. If you travel with family, you know that you need a vacation right
Yep.
after.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was a nice time away. And then from Paris, went back to Abu Dhabi, and then from Abu Dhabi, went back to Cairo for like a day, and then
Right.
from Cairo, jumped to Tokyo, and now I'm back in California.
It's
So
wild. And
yeah.
I don't want to blow up your spot a little bit here, but went on a date with an Irishman, if I remember correctly.
yes, I did. I
In
did
where?
go on a
Where
date
did you
with-
meet him?
I met him in Abu Dhabi.
Okay, it's just
Dave,
wildness.
what is up with the Irish being in? Why is there so many
There's
of
a
them?
lot. There's a lot.
There's
I mean,
so many.
it's such a, I mean, the place is just a polyglot city anyway. Like everybody
Mhm.
speaks everything. But yeah, there's a lot of UK and Irish workers there. I don't know exactly why, other than, well, it's often cold in Ireland, in the UK, and they get to live somewhere hot and warm and make probably better money than they do at home. I met a
Yes.
guy there who trained horses, like
Oh,
Oh.
for the royal families, like show
Whoa.
horses. That was his job, because he was
That's
an
a
Irish,
job.
he was, Irish horse race trainer guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, and he lived there like 10 years training horses and making mad cash.
Well, we
That's
all know
amazing.
the Irish are coming to Abu Dhabi for WB World, of course. That's why they're there. We, oh, how we love Bugs Bunny.
But yeah, it was a great time.
Good.
You know, now that I'm back, I'm like mentally planning the next place that I'm gonna go. Victoria and I are already talking about finishing up our last 2 Disney parks in China. So hopefully that happens next year.
Yes, excellent.
Wow, I'm chomping at the bit. You've really well, you were kind enough to, you got me something I wanted at Tokyo.
Yes.
Yes, she got me. I needed something that said Tokyo but Country Bears, and she got me the Country Bear chopsticks that have Henry on the top, and that's like perfect, and it'll look
That's
great
perfect.
in my Big Al glass. So it's perfect.
I was very
Yeah.
surprised that they had Country Bear merch there. I
Oh,
was like,
Oh, it's
yeah,
very
they do.
popular.
so surprised.
Mm-hmm.
It's very popular. I got a bunch of weird merch there one year during Halloween. I don't know if they did this while you were there, but they
Mhm.
took like there are these bear statues throughout the park that like lead you to the country, in Frontierland at least.
Mhm,
They
Yeah.
mhm.
point their way to the theater, and they put like pumpkins on their heads, like they had fallen on their, like jack-o'-lantern faces had
Uh-huh.
fallen onto their heads,
Oh,
and they sold an entire merch line of the cast of Country Bears wearing pumpkins on their
Yes,
heads,
that's right.
like
The plushes and stuff. Mm-hmm.
plush. And I got a little keychain. Yeah, it's their merch gets so specific and so kind of weirdly local. I love it so much. I have
Yeah.
one that's Baymax in like a Hawaiian shirt and a straw vacation hat, aka looking just like me in the summer. So it was like the
Round
Dave
and pale.
Baymax.
Yeah.
Round, pale, and with a loud shirt that's too tight and a summery jaunty hat.
There
It
you
was
go.
I was like, it me.
The Rehoboth look is what we call that around here.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, you know what? We're already starting to dive into your trip. We got to be careful because we first got the news. All right, ladies and gents, I don't want to go long on this one, but it's interesting enough that we're going to talk a little bit about the Central Florida Tourism Oversight Board, and of course,
Fucking fascist!
Ron DeSantis just a hair. So, what I'm going to talk about is the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District was going to update their 911 network. So, something that I don't think people know, I didn't until I read this article, which is from WDW News Today, WWNT.com. You have to hit a certain like percentage. So, dispatchers have to pick up I think it's 90% of 911 calls within 10 seconds is what it says.
Mhm.
And they were running around 80%. So they needed to figure out what that looked like and how to fix the system. So if you remember not too long ago, there was a gentleman, I'm trying to remember his name. I know the information's in this article here, Glenn Gilzine, who was in a bit of minor hot water because he was both working for the new Reedy Creek district and was still on the ethics board for Florida. I mean, whatever that looks like. I think it's just a car full of clowns. Because it's Florida. Come on. So he decided, okay, I'm going to resign from the ethics board and I'm going to keep my cushy job for this district that is I think it was like he got more money than the last guy that took the job, so he was happy with that. So anyway, he's got this job, Gilzine, and he just gives the 911 kind of new redesign to his buddy by the name of, his last name's Figures. It's from Figures Communication. And let's see if I can find his first name here. Figures. Freddie Figures. Freddie Figures. It sounds almost like a 40s gangster. And Freddie Figures, it was on the ethics board, and Glenn Gilzine just said, hey, you know what? You get the bid on this. Here, you're going to get this kind of a huge deal for this project, which was worth, it was like a couple $100,000. And there was no, hey, can we bid this out to, usually these kind of circumstances, you make the offering available and then people put in bids and you can decide which bid you want to take. But no, this was a glad hand between two buddies without anyone getting any say. Real ethics organization material.
Yeah, very ethical.
Yeah, and of course, Figures had been appointed to the Ethics Commission by Ron DeSantis.
Fucking fascist!
Our favorite, who is voguing every day recently in his beautiful high heel cowboy boots. Can't say the high heels, but he's definitely wearing them. Anyway, this got released by the Sentinel in Orlando, and some other people picked up on it, and whoops, we got caught. So the district has canceled that no bid contract, and Freddie Figures says, oh, well, I want this to be a good atmosphere. So, let's start over. Sure. Whatever, Freddie, you were happy. So they did. We had to put up a stink before the Tourism Commission did anything interesting or ethical. But now that no bid contract has been canceled. Along with this, of course, is also the fact that recently some reports have come out about 30 plus people who have left working the district, Reedy Creek, since this came into place. They say it's a super toxic environment now. None of these people know what they're doing. They have no experience. So they're losing, I think it was over 100 years plus of institutional knowledge. Yeah. So things are going great. Another DeSantis success, to say the least. But don't worry, he's going to have more time to look at that because he is flailing and will not be running for president much longer. He's just hoping, he is at this point just hoping that Trump goes to jail or gets hit by a Mack truck. So he's waiting on his tippy toes, as it were. So there you go. That's the Central Florida Oversight District news this week. A pox upon all their houses. We hate them very much. Moving on, though, let's go to the Magic Kingdom. Saara, what's going on for our Christmas time this year over at Mickey's Very Merry Christmas?
A lot is going on. So Disney World released the full list of food and beverage items that you can find at the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas party. And there's just so many things. Like, one of the things that I just really want to try, like everything at Cosmic Rays. The holiday pot roast melt, like that looks pretty good.
First of all, I just want to say, it's been a very long time since someone said, I really want to try everything at Cosmic Rays.
Listen,
that is a
I
phrase
know that there are some Cosmic Rays haters out there, but you cannot, for me, I still think about the Halloween spicy chicken sandwich that they had like maybe 2 years ago. It was absolutely to die for. Like, it was the best chicken sandwich that I've ever had.
Oh, very interesting.
You guys cannot tell me that you can't talk shit about Cosmic Rays. Like, it's just 10 out of 10.
I mean, ever all the nacho cheese you can pump. Come on, that's great.
Literally, and the vibe, like it's so
vibes.
nice. It's such a nice vibe.
Yeah, I mean, we stand Sunny. There's no,
100%.
for sure.
Sunny's great.
Like this,
Sunny's great.
that's where I would really riot if they were to like change up that scene or like try to get rid of him. That would be my Mr. Toads. Like,
Sunny is indicative of this really weird segment of 90s Imagineering where they did a lot of weird crap, and I hope it never dies. I'm looking at that list now. And it is. Mine too. I mean, we got things like the Adventurers Club out of that. R.I.P.
Yeah. It's the punny era. That's what we like about it. It's that classic punny era.
too much story, but lots of good puns, right? everything had a backstory, right?
That's true. Everything really did have.
Everything.
Yeah.
That trash can had a backstory.
Yeah. Literally. No, that's not even a joke. That's just reality. It is. He is on the mark with that for sure. What are you seeing here, Dave? That sounds good.
The reindeer chow sundae, just the name of it alone. Yum.
Yeah.
The lump of coal in your stocking, which is a cookies and cream
Yes.
milkshake top with a big chocolate donut hole. Those both sound really great.
Yes. I don't know.
The desserts, it's hard to miss on the desserts though.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
valid. I really want to see. I have been loving this podcast called the Doughboys recently. I don't think anyone else has listened to the Doughboys here, but there's these two guys. One's a writer, one's an actor, and they do fast food restaurants. They live in LA and they do chains. So they just did Shaq's Big Chicken, things like that. They're real funny. I want to send them to eat some of this weird shit because I want to hear what experts think, because it's it's I mean, it all looks pretty good. It's always like the pictures are always better than the execution. I'll say that. Like
I
pretty
think
much.
that, yeah, for me, what I don't necessarily always like about the holiday desserts is how much food like it looks pretty, but the taste is just weird. And there's so much food coloring that your mouth is just going to be 50 different colors by the end of it.
Right.
So,
But the
for
holiday
me, yeah,
the holiday ham fried pie and the Italian beef tots, they are just chill. They are not colored at all. They're like, they have very Friar Nook Old England
Oh, yeah.
vibes. So there's some stuff if you don't want. I will say though that like they have a winter milkshake there that's creamy coconut milk, and any non-dairy milkshakes I'm happy with.
Yes.
A rarity, I feel.
Are you lactose intolerant?
I am. Yes, I am. I intolerant in the sense that like I could probably have something and be fine. I'm just going to be tooting up the place for a couple hours. So what I like to say is people are more fart intolerant than I'm lactose intolerant. So that's
Oh my God.
why I don't. But now and then something will. I can't stop myself for sure. But
All right.
yeah. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I think all this is really cute. It's
yeah, it looks really nice.
It looks really nice.
I always I always will go for a Thanksgiving sandwich, and they've got the holiday burger that's got like stuffing and stuff on it.
Yeah, it looks like
down.
the Wawa Gobbler, if anyone knows that sandwich. It looks the same.
The Wawa Gobbler.
Yeah,
Wawa makes great sandwiches.
Yeah,
that's a chain we don't have out here. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a shame.
I know, but the Wawa Gobbler, that just sounds like it would be on a certain website.
Oh, maybe. Certain way. you gotta have the premium OnlyFans for the Gobbler, if you know what I'm saying.
To that thing we just talked about everything having a story. It's funny that we talk about that because today I ran across what do you call it on Mastodon? Is it a mast? Is it a tweet? What is it? Anyway,
I don't know. Who's on Mastodon?
I am. I'm sort of juggling between that and Blue Sky.
Tried.
But do you remember a guy on Twitter? He's over there now called Madness Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, somebody reposted a thing from him just because it came up in his feed and made him laugh, and it's exactly about that. It's a picture of a Walt Disney Imagineering pen, and it says, I took a screenshot of this, or it says, I accidentally used my Imagineering pen to mark the location to hang my closet mirror, and now my mirror has 3 pages of backstory and is part of SEA. Oh no.
You gotta be careful.
You gotta be careful.
This is what happens.
He's not wrong. He's completely not wrong.
Not at all. But over at Epcot, we have some more interesting things happening. Saara, who's shown up? Who's made her presence known?
Asha from Disney's Wish is actually at Epcot right now, and she looks absolutely amazing. I was extremely worried about the hair, but they pulled it out. They got a nice little braided wig for her. So she looks pretty good. But I think that it was a little weird that she ended up at Epcot first. I didn't really understand that part, but because I would think that she would maybe show up at like Magic Kingdom first.
I feel like there's this new desire to. Well, it's not a new desire. There's this desire to fill Epcot with princesses too, which is not new. I shouldn't say that's new, but this desire to sort of say like, classic people here, new vibes over here a little bit. There's been, because
Mhm.
if you think about it, Frozen's over in Epcot, Asha's in Epcot, Guardians is in Epcot. Like there's a distinct kind of there seems to be planning involved there, I would say.
It's a very weird thing that's going on with Epcot right now. It feels like everything that's over there just doesn't really make any sense. It's
Mhm.
losing its, I guess, Epcotiness. So yeah, I mean, it's weird, but if you want to meet her, she's there and she looks amazing, absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Um, and I can't wait for the movie to come out. I'm
I,
going to be sad for that.
yeah. Okay.
Hold on, y'all.
Uh-oh.
How do we
Hold
how do we
on.
talk about this?
Nathan's got feelings.
How do we talk about this in a delicate manner?
No,
I
I
feel
want go for it.
I feel that in many ways
Mm.
Disney has with some of these characters tried to balance the line of the where these characters are from, like the ethnicity, that sort of
Mhm.
thing. And I think because it's a more complex sort of ethnicity, right? It's kind of a other place. It's not a real place. Um, it can get a little, I don't know. I don't want to say dicey, but I don't find that the live action Asha looks anything like the Asha that is in
The wig is
art.
on point, though. The wig is
The wig is on point.
The wig is on.
Great.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
Nathan. I'm gonna agree with you because I thought that at first too. I just didn't want to crush people's dreams.
Yeah.
But Asha, technically, from what we've seen or what we've heard, they're saying that she's supposed to be from East Africa.
Okay.
That's what we're hearing.
I mean,
So to me,
her dad's white and
Mhm.
her mom's of color, for what it
but
seems.
from someone on Twitter was saying that she might be like Ethiopian, Eritrean, or Somalian, and then her dad would be from
Mhm.
Italy because of that giving y'all a little history
Sure.
lesson that colonization that happened there.
Right.
So I personally, for me, I don't see the features in the person who's currently there.
Right.
But I will give them the props, I guess, because I don't necessarily think that there's a huge East African population in Florida right now.
Right.
So-
Right.
but I'll give it to them. But the person that they have on the website, like currently, if you guys go onto the Disney website and look at like the Meet Asha near World Showcase Plaza, looks nothing like her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is difficult.
But that's okay. No one's seen the movies. It's
No
not,
one's seen the movie,
yeah.
but I think, like you were saying, it's hard because, like you said, there has to be there's this balance from a fan kind of being like, okay, well, do I wish that they would have gotten somebody from that specific region and gotten someone that looks like just like her? Yes, but at the same time, it's like I understand where we are in the world,
logistics.
geographically speaking.
Yeah.
The logistics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Disney has the funds, so they could have definitely flown somebody out, or given us
Yeah.
a bit more of an idea of where she exactly is, because it just Black people are not a monolith. You can't just put any Black person in a role and just be like, this is the person. You know what
And
I
there
mean?
was an Asha that showed up at D23, and she just what I would say is her sort of, I don't know how to put it. Her like jawline fits better the character. There's just different things like that. It's not even a race thing as much as is like just like
features. Yeah.
seem to land a little quicker. So yeah, I don't know. It's just tricky. I mean, it's it's one of those things that when you had a bunch of white princesses, you really didn't have to think very hard about it, because it was just sort of like, no one's like, that's Wisconsin white, that's not Arizonan white, like, come on. So it's one of those things that I think Disney has. This is certainly not, I think, bad at all. I think that go to a European Disney park and there's far more to complain about when it comes
sure.
when it comes to who's playing Jasmine. So
Lord.
yeah, there's way worse things going on there, but it was just something I noticed. I wouldn't say she looks too much like it. I think you're right. I think
I
there's
will
a
say I have
complexity
one
that's tricky.
critique about the wig.
Okay.
Just one. The little side braids, I feel like they're a little too chunky for me, and I would have appreciated if they used a colored bald cap underneath the wig, because it looks very ashy and gray. It's very, if you could just see it a little bit. I even saw it in the walking characters. but it's not too bad. It's not. She looks great. It just means nitpicking.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see her, to meet her, and for more Black princesses, I am absolutely here for. So
For sure, for sure, for sure.
yes.
Absolutely. Let's head on over to your side of the coast. And I think, speaking of representation, a really legitimately cool thing is happening over at Downtown Disney. What's going on?
This is absolutely amazing. So, artist and activist Nicholas Smith is collaborating with Disney Imagineering. They're going to be creating a sculptural tower, which I'm not sure what the difference between a sculptural tower and a regular tower is.
I think
Maybe it's
you
just
can't really
more
climb a
decorative.
sculptural tower. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah. So they're going to be creating a sculptural tower in downtown Disney, and the tower is a tribute to the mid 1900s Black architects in Southern California, which to me, this is super, super cool because I have no kind of background or understanding in this. So it kind of gives us something new to learn about.
Mhm.
And it's going to be featuring designs by people like Paul R. Williams, Roy Seeley, Robert Kennard. So these are all
Yeah.
new names to me, which
Yeah.
super, super cool. And basically what he wants to do with this is to celebrate the legacy of these architects in Southern California. And so far, from what we've seen, this looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's really
Very
beautiful.
Tomorrowland-esque for me. I wish it
Yeah,
would have. Yeah.
It's very Tomorrowland. It's a little it's like it's like the Tower of the Four Winds that Raleigh made for the World's Fair, right?
100%.
But what's great about it is, and I didn't know any of those names either, and I after reading this article, I went and looked it all up. There's a lot of these Black architects that he's sort of inspired by in this piece, all created bits and pieces of what we call mid-century modern design.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
patterns and scale and the sort of swoopy mid-century Incredibles-ish looking features are a lot of them can be traced back to these architects. So it's great. Like I had no
Yeah.
idea,
There-
but it also is just beautiful. It's
Yeah.
really lovely.
There's a great episode of the podcast 99% Invisible, if you've ever heard of that, which is all about design and architecture. It's episode 255. It's called The Architect of Hollywood, and it's about Paul R. Williams.
Cool.
And basically about how he was creating Frank Sinatra's bachelor pad and Lucy and Desi's house.
Oh, wow.
And in many ways was creating places that he was not necessarily invited to for parties. And a really interesting episode and look into Hollywood and design. So I would highly recommend that if you're interested in this. But yeah, this work is really, really cool. And it's cool to see someone who like Nicholas Smith get an opportunity. They could have just done whatever. And I just like that they thought more about it than that. And this is what happens when you get people of color into a room. Like, I don't know if this would have been something, someone who does not have a desire to know the history of architecture in the area would have thought of. So very cool. Very cool.
Mhm.
All right. Let's head over to Tokyo and talk a little bit about a new thing at Tokyo. And then of course we're going to get really knee deep. We're going to get right into it about your trip to Tokyo. So first of all, something you did not get to see because it's starting in January. Tell us a little bit about Disney's Palooza. Or Palooza, I should say, not Paul.
Palooza.
Palooza is our Paul Giamatti Disney Palooza that every year we celebrate Paul Giamatti, which by the way, I got to see an early screening of his new movie, The Holdover. It's my favorite movie of the year. So
wow, okay.
So I'm having a real Paul Palooza over here. But let's talk a little bit about Paul. Let's talk a little bit about Pal Palooza over at Tokyo.
Okay, so Pal Palooza. So Tokyo Disney announced that it will be having a series of events known as the Disney Pal Palooza, which we love. It's going to be starting on January 10th in 2024, so I missed it. But the kickoff event is Minnie's Funderland, which, is that a word?
Funderland?
Nope.
I mean, it is now.
It is
Wonder,
now,
fun. Yeah, I mean, it's Funderland. It's only
Funderland.
Fun. I'm surprised it's never been said before, to be honest. There's no way this is a new word.
It seems like it would have existed before. Anyways, so this is going to be a huge celebration of Minnie, essentially, and kind of bringing in a bunch of different like I don't even know how to describe this. Like
It
there's gonna be a
Well,
parade, or there's gonna be
Minnie is having a bunch of people come together,
yeah,
and they are going to go into this dome, and they're going to battle in the Thunderdome. So
absolutely, absolutely.
they're going to
Tokyo
battle
Yeah.
for
Disney
her
does
love.
is really good at this. They do these sort of they're basically seasonal events, but they're
Yeah.
centered around a character rather than like a holiday. And they do this a lot. And it's like a parade and food and maybe lots of merch. And so it's just limited time offering stuff, but they do a lot of these. I went to one where it was all Stitch, and he had like TP'd the castle.
Oh, they did
And-
that there
So
too.
cool.
They did that, yeah. But it was not tied to anything other than like it was Stitch Month, and they had Stitch food and little paw prints all in paint all over the park and all over Main Street. And it was just like, here's a month where we celebrate being naughty. You know what I mean?
The very concept of spending 1 month doing a thing and then going on and doing another thing is
Yeah.
astonishing.
they do it. They do
Yeah,
it.
they
And-
do.
And one of the reasons is because there's no annual passes there anymore.
That's
Like,
right.
they have not brought that back. And so they want the locals to keep going as much as they used to. And so I have a feeling they're leaning heavily on these kind of things to sort of
Yeah.
ignite times that are usually slow, like
Which
January
is-
and March.
From people I know who live in Tokyo, I know a gentleman who works over at Universal there, and he's like, yeah, they're not bringing back passes because everyone goes anyway. So
Yep, they
it's
don't
not
need to.
really stopped anybody. So they're
No.
going hand over fist on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Are we, when it comes to Minnie, are we bow people or flower people?
Bow.
Bow.
Flower.
Bow, 100%. Flower.
Yeah.
How could you
not
say
a bow.
flower? Why
Oh,
flower?
like the flower in her
Yeah.
hat.
Yeah. Her hat and flower.
Doesn't she often have both, or is it like one? does it
No,
have
it's
to be
one or the other. It's
Really?
always, it's basically one or the other. Yeah. The new Mickey
Uh,
shorts have been flower, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm torn. I lean towards bow.
Interesting. Interesting. Wrong, but
I feel
interesting.
like bow is just classic. I don't know.
What do you mean bow is classic? Flower was first.
I know, but bow is iconic. Like, sorry, but
Mm.
bow supersedes flower.
Okay. Okay. Well, so we don't fight. We're going to move on to your trip because you and your Carmen San Diego ass just going everywhere, showing up.
It was, I don't, it was funny because I was really, really wanting to go, and it was looking like I was not going to be able to go. And then randomly a ticket popped up, and I was just like, you know what? We're doing it. We're going to just go to Tokyo. Like, why not? I'm already on this side of the world.
Why
It's valid.
not?
It's a
Why
valid
not?
point. It's a valid
Like,
point.
I just felt like I would have literally been losing money if I didn't go. I mean, I lost money when I went too, but then I would also have been losing money if I didn't go. But it was absolutely amazing. It is my 10th Disney park that I have cried in, and for good reasons. It was an absolutely beautiful park. Like, just the fans, the people there. I went the day before Halloween, and when I tell you the costumes, these people were knocking it out of the park.
Yeah,
Like,
always.
there were
Yeah.
girls that were showing up in the full Disney princess ball gown dresses, and I was like, you know what? You're walking 10 miles today, and you're wearing those heels.
Yeah.
Commitment.
Y-
in
y'all,
full
every day
beat,
is
like-
every day is Dapper Day in Japan. Like,
It
Yeah,
is-
that truth.
Amazing though, like the costumes, the commitment, the love for the park, the maintenance, and everything that was just that made the park what it is. Like, just
Mhm.
starting off with Tokyo Disneyland, it
yeah,
was
let's start there. Let's start. That's a good.
yeah,
call.
like it was so just beautiful, and I think that the park, the way that it was set up, it just made a whole lot of sense. Like, it really, to me, I think my favorite part of the entire park had to have been kind of like the Western Frontierland area. There was just a
Mm.
lot of theming there, and I just think that there was a lot of love that was put into it. And then obviously Big Thunder Mountain was over there, and I just hello, Big Thunder fan, Big Thunder stan 099, like over here, absolutely love it.
Yeah, and that's the best
so-
one I hear. Or is it Paris that everyone says is the best one? I can't
Paris,
remember.
I would say, is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that the rides were just generally a lot longer at Tokyo
Mm.
Disney, which
like
was very
like the wait you mean, not like the
no,
length of the ride.
like, to me, I felt like the line, like the actual ride was
Oh, okay.
longer.
Okay.
I don't know
Like
if that's
which
true.
ones?
I think Big Thunder was longer to me.
Oh, that it might be. Yeah.
And then also Space Mountain was a lot longer.
it
Wow,
might,
you
like I
yeah,
got
was-
it might be.
you got in under the
I
wire
felt like I
for
was
Space
sitting.
Mountain.
I was like sitting there. I was like, wait, is this ride not over yet? Like, I don't know why, but I was very. It just felt very long.
Mm.
But it was great. I mean, I wouldn't
I'm gonna look
complain.
that
It
up.
was, it was pretty cool. And then what else did I do? I got to go into my notes because sorry,
Sure, of
go ahead,
course.
Dave.
Did you do Monsters Inc?
I did, and
It's
it was
cute, right?
so cute. And I thought the flashlight thing was just such a good idea. Like it was so smart.
It's funny. There's that one scene where you drive through sort of downtown Monstropolis like twice,
Yes,
and
yes.
all the monsters, and I went, someone rode Men in Black here.
I mean,
I mean, you take
Look,
from the best. You take from the
you
best.
take from the best. No, I love it. I think the interactivity is so cute, and the animatronics are great.
they were amazing.
That final gag with Randall going through the machine and getting squashed and stretched and stuff is so good.
That was so good. Like I don't even know how they
It's a great
did
little
that.
ride. Yeah.
It's a really nice ride. I would say that my favorite out of all the rides had to obviously have been Enchanted Tales of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, we gotta talk about
because-
this ride.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Like
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
the innovation, the design, the architecture, the everything of this ride, like oh amazing. Like first of all, the teacups, I was not expecting them. So the ride vehicles are teacups. It's
Mhm.
on a trackless ride and I've never seen where like the ride vehicle kind of like moves. Like it moves in circles and it tilts up and down as if you're like you're a teacup in a saucer.
It's a motion base. Yeah, it's got a little motion base
Yeah.
underneath it. It's funny. It's the same mechanism, same company that we used for the Justice League ride in Abu Dhabi, a company called Oceaneering.
Okay.
And
Really?
and yeah, I saw those vehicles being sculpted, and I'm like, I know what that is, and they couldn't tell me. And I'm like, but I know exactly what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, like it felt like you were literally floating like
Yeah.
while you were riding the ride. It felt like you were just
Yeah.
like, swaying and floating around.
Yeah.
And the animatronics were crazy good. Like it
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
like you were literally in the movie. Like it just felt like an out of body experience. I don't even know how to describe that, but it just
That
felt
beast-
just the
That
beast
beast transformation at the end is gobstoppingly good.
crazy.
Yeah.
I was
And-
literally
and-
trying to figure it out. Like I was
Yeah.
like, how are they doing this? I don't understand.
Well,
Like,
it's the same. It's the same kind of. Honestly, it's a bit of the same gag as Jack Sparrow in Shanghai.
It is exactly the same,
which is
yeah.
old
It's
school.
the same geometry, right? Very old
Honestly.
school,
But-
but like done it's clever because it's framed and staged in a way that you can't make out the geometry of,
Yep.
of
yeah.
where the reflection plane is. And if anybody hasn't seen it, just go watch the video. It's
Yeah.
really beautiful, and it's one of the best. It's a hallmark of illusion design to me. It's so both that and the one in Pirates is just
Yeah.
amazing.
It's crazy good.
Sorry, did you like this? Did you get to do Tiki Room with Stitch?
I did.
Was it cute?
cute.
It seems cute
It
to
was
me.
it was very cute. It was very cute. I just had a hard time kind of like understanding some parts, but
well, yeah. that makes
Wait,
sense.
did you okay, so they actually do something that's really fun. They have a handheld unit that you can get at guest relations
yes,
that is
so I
English
asked,
captions.
I asked and they had ran out. So
Oh,
I was just like,
no.
what?
Which,
Oh, that's
by the
too bad.
way, that's a real testament to the changing of the times because
Yeah,
that was probably not an issue 10 years ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's now,
Yeah.
it's
Cute.
now,
The best part of that show is when he shows up in the Elvis suit with the guitar. That was just adorable.
The whole show
yeah.
was just adorable. I absolutely love the park's love for Stitch. It was just he was everywhere. I didn't do the Stitch encounter though because I just did.
That's fine.
I
It's
didn't
turtle
have enough
talk.
time. Yeah, it's
and it's in
basically the turtle
Japanese.
talk.
It's turtle talk.
Exactly.
It's turtle talk with a game element though. Like he has to escape the ship, and you see the top-down view of like the maze of the ship, but he can't.
Mhm.
And he asks the audience to shout, "Go left, go right." It's actually kind of cute.
That's cute.
Now
Oh.
I have a
Honey
question
Hunt?
for you. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Honey Hunt.
We got
Did
to talk
you-
Honey Hunt. You do
Honey
Honey
Hunt?
Hunt?
Listen, y'all are gonna hate me. I tried.
No,
But
I
the
get
line-
it. So they have been open for an hour now. I'm looking at their website. It's 10 there in the morning. Honey Hunt has the behind Peter Pan, or I'm sorry, behind Beauty and the Beast. It has a 110-minute wait.
Oh,
No, it
Honey
was-
Hunt is. a big deal over there.
It
Oh, I wish
was,
you'd
and
gone.
I know, and I really wish that I would have gone because that was like one of the rides that I was really excited for. But it was like it's either Honey Hunt or Enchanted Tales of Beauty and the Beast. Which
Yeah,
one was
I
it going to
get
be?
it.
I
Yep.
felt like
You made the right
know
call.
we're gonna all go back together as a
Yeah.
group and we're gonna ride it together. So it's like I'll
Damn
rather
right.
wait with you guys. But
I
yeah,
have a
like it
question.
was. Mhm.
I have a question for you regarding the Beauty and the Beast ride. One of the things, I haven't ridden it, I haven't been on it. One
Okay.
of the things about a trackless ride, especially with giant vehicles like that, is the reach envelope gets ridiculous because you have to calculate not only for guest reach, but you have to calculate for how quickly the vehicles can come to an emergency stop, and there's always some slop in that. You don't want it running into sets. So they're ridiculously large motion envelopes for trackless vehicles, and you lose in a lot of trackless rides. You lose all sense of intimacy, and they've gotten around it in rides like Rise, but even there, you're pretty far from the set pieces and things. One of the things about that ride in the videos I've seen is everything looks like it's 10 miles away. And I'm wondering if that's just the wide angle video that I'm watching. Does it feel like are you close enough to like the dinner scene and the table to see all those details and
I
close enough to the characters that it makes sense?
honestly, I felt like I was very close. Like if I would have put my hand
Okay.
out, I could reach it. Like I really felt like that. I'll send you the videos that I took of it because to me
Please.
it felt like it was really really close. Like maybe like probably 3 feet away max. So I
Yeah.
felt like I could get really the ride vehicle takes you really up close and personal to it, and you like almost see like you could see all the features in their face. Like it wasn't a far like you got to squint to like see something like in Rise.
Right.
Like
Mhm.
no, like you felt like you could really get up there and see like for the dinner scene for example. The ride vehicle it's going around constantly around the dinner table, and like there are moments where it takes you up close and then kind of pulls back a little bit. When it takes you up close, you could see the details on the plates, you could see the details on the you could probably count the feather duster, you could probably count how many feathers are on there if you really wanted to from that distance. So I would say it gets pretty close, to be honest. And the
Cool.
rooms, honest to me, I felt like the rooms were pretty small to
Oh,
where
interesting.
Really? Okay. Okay.
yeah, they felt pretty. And then I want to say there were maybe like 8 ride vehicles at a time.
I think that's pretty accurate.
So yeah, like it was pretty. I felt like they would probably be a little crammed in there. If I'm being, I don't even know how we didn't bump into each other. Like
Yeah, that's.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
sorry.
yeah,
Go ahead.
no, go
Dave.
ahead.
Well,
No, go
no,
ahead.
I mean it's kind of connected. When you go to with Gaston crashing in and the transformation and stuff, are all 8 vehicles together, or have you split into 2 different scenes for the same thing?
no, it's all together.
Wow, it seems like there'd be a really
Is it
long
8?
line.
Is it really 8 vehicles?
I can't remember.
I want to say it's a lot of. To me, it looked like a lot of
I can look it
vehicles.
up real quick.
And
on the
per
video.
vehicle, there's 9 seats.
9 people,
4
right,
in the
yeah.
front, yeah, and then like 5 in the back.
One of the things that is what you can do in trackless, and Honey Hunt was the first to do it, and now they've sort of put it almost in every trackless ride they have, except for maybe Rise, is the idea of dance choreography between the vehicles, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
Honey Hunt does this thing where you dance with the Heffalumps and Woozles. My favorite scene in that one is when you bounce with Tigger. I just audibly laugh every time because it's so silly. But in this one, it looked to me like when you're in Be Our Guest, it's like you are dancing a waltz and spinning around them, and then when they have their final dance at the end, you are dancing around them and spinning. And,
Yes.
right?
Sorry, you were
Yeah.
close. I think it's 6.
Oh, okay.
6 vehicles. Okay.
Yeah, at 9.
It's-
So 6 times 9, 50. What is that? 54 people.
54, and it looks to me like each show scene is 30 seconds, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So 20-second dispatches, 50 people every 20 seconds. That's low. That's why the lines are so long.
The line's super long. Yeah, but it felt like it was pretty crammed in there. And the ride
Yeah.
vehicles are huge. Like it's really, really big.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can comfortably sit in there. Like it's not a
Yeah.
crammed, teacup.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it felt like you could really get up close and see everything and really experience it. And I absolutely love that final ballroom scene where you're kind of just
Yeah.
with the music and you're swaying
Oh
around.
my
and it
god!
was
I
just
watched
the
them.
lights.
I tried to figure out how they were dancing for the long. I mean, I figured it out kind of,
saw-
but it's
yeah, like-
astonishing.
It really is. I do feel like you can, because I was looking at the feet. It's like that's where you can
Mhm.
see that it's kind of like he's moving back and forth right over there, and then it's like a little
Yeah.
turntable, and he's going around. You can see the bars below
Yeah.
his feet. So that's
Sure.
one thing. I don't know how they can't really cover that up, but you know.
Well, the one thing, and Dave, you might have a bit of a better understanding of this than me, but I would almost assume that of course, for those who haven't seen this, it is Belle and the Beast transformed dancing.
Yeah.
I would assume this is actually one piece of mechanic that holds both animatronics. I don't think these are two separate things. I think they're one thing that works together, and
Yeah.
they're just dressed like the animatronics. Because I don't think they blink or anything. I don't think they have to. Because it
No,
seems
their faces don't move
yeah, it
No.
seems
in that
like
scene.
they're
Yeah.
because his leg is so kind of into her dress there. I just think that there's probably a bar or something that connects them in between, that helps kind of the movement because you can't see her feet, so that's taking care of that issue. But it's fascinating. It really is like this, just even as you said from
Now,
close
are they just stationary in the middle of the room, or do they move around like the ride vehicles? I forget.
No, they're stationary.
well,
Yeah,
but they
okay.
rotate. Their floor
They-
rotates,
Yeah,
Right.
so it
they
looks like they're
rotate.
moving.
They rotate, but then it's like the whatever they're rotating on is stationary, but then the ride vehicles are going around them and mimicking
Yeah.
the ballroom dancing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at a faster
I'm
pace.
looking at it now. It is definitely one mechanism, and
Mhm.
she's just attached to him.
Yep.
Like, notice you don't see her feet at all. She's probably just
Yeah.
a torso.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably horrifying without the clothes on.
Yeah.
I was
I
just
actually
thinking that.
I drew what my brain thought it was at one point, and I was like, I don't like
Yeah.
this. This is
Do not want. Do
I
not
don't-
want.
mm.
Let's move on to Tokyo Disney Sea.
Oh my
Can you
God.
imagine? We've
Oh.
only been talking about Disneyland. We're about settle in, folks. This is all I
Settle
want to talk
in.
about.
Let me put my food because I was eating in and out, y'all. I had to get it.
Yeah, you were
but
back.
Anyway,
Sorry,
I
tell
was
us about the greatest theme park in the world.
the greatest theme park ever to ever exist in the world for the next, I don't know, million fucking years. Disney Sea. When I walked in, you guys, I literally was just like, am I in Italy or am I
Yeah.
in Tokyo, bitch? Like, where am I? It's like it just
And you
felt
would
like,
know because your ass was just in Italy.
And let me tell you, Disney Sea's Italy absolutely killed it. It absolutely ate in comparison to real Italy. Like I was just floored. Like like I just could not believe.
Simulacrums are better than the real thing generally.
And Venice was not nearly as smelly at
Yeah.
Disney Sea.
No, and the water was nice.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. Yeah, like it was just absolutely gorgeous. Like when you talk about real immersion, real transformation, all of that, like that's exactly what I felt like. I felt like I was literally being transported into a whole other like world. But even before that, the monorail that you get on, that's even an experience in itself. The
It's
monorail
sexy.
is
It's so cool.
it's so did you say the monorail is sexy?
Yeah, it's sexy.
Yeah, it's sexy. I love the little handholds that are little
The
hidden
handles.
Mickey, obvious Mickeys, right? The little Mickey
Yes.
handholds.
The handles, the windows are shaped
And the
in
windows are Mickey. Yeah.
Yes, and then what's really cool is that you get to go kind of similar to the monorail that we have here in California. You get to go a little bit through backstage and see the things that they're working on. And we actually we got to see a little bit of Fantasy Springs, and it's just oh my God!
Yeah.
I wish I would have planned
Yeah.
my trip around that time. Like Victoria doesn't
reasons
know
that-
this. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say Victoria doesn't know this, but I'm sneaking into her luggage. Like I'm gonna go.
One of the reasons their monorail is so nice is because you have to pay for it. It's a ticket, right?
Yes, it is
It's
ticketed.
why it's so well maintained.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you get
Like,
into the park without it though? Can you?
You can
If you drive your
so they
car,
have a-
there's
Okay.
parking structures.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But what's funny is like I didn't see anybody driving there. Like there's like no park. Like the parking
also
was
buses.
was empty. There a lot of people use the buses, and I
Yeah.
used the train. So they actually have a subway station or like a train
Yep.
station that stops there,
Mhm.
which is pretty great. It's like stops right at the Tokyo Resort, and then you hop from there to the monorail, which takes you around the entire resort. But yeah, you get to see the Space Mountain construction in the back. I think I took pictures of that, and then the
Oh, good. I wanna
Fantasy
see that.
Springs. Yes, I'll send it to you.
I wanna see.
So that they have like a big. It looked like a ditch kind of like in the back of Space Mountain. So I don't know what's going on there.
I have
But-
my thoughts. I have my
Okay, I'll
thoughts.
send it to you. I'll send it to you. We'll talk later. But yeah, so as soon as you get off, you see the big, and the thing is, I wanted to go in blind. I didn't want to know anything. Like I've always known about Disney Sea. I've always heard about it, but I didn't want to look anything up. I didn't want to see any pictures. I just like the one thing that I knew about it was the big volcano. But I
Right.
was like, that's it.
Which
When
is
I
like
walked in-
as the park's castle. It is so
Mhm.
cool when you walk in, right? It's the castle.
So cool. And even at night when it lights
Yeah.
up, it just looks so
Fire.
amazing. But you walk in and you see this giant globe, and it just like, oh my God, like I am
The
in another
aquasphere.
world.
It's called the
Yeah.
aquasphere.
The aquasphere is right. Like you really feel like you're in a whole other like world there. And I'm gonna keep saying that because it's literally the best explanation for it. And once again, let me go into my notes because it was a long, it was a long day. So I went on the first ride that I went on was Journey to the Center of the Earth, and I remember
Oh.
texting you guys in the group chat, and I was like, "Oh my God, you guys, I think it's closed. I'm
You were
scared."
so worried.
I was so because that's the ride, like
Yeah.
that's the ride that you're going
Yeah.
there for.
That and
20,000 Leagues.
Yeah,
20,000 and
Tower.
well, and Tower. See, this is what I'm talking about. This park's fire because you've not hit. My brain is going somewhere else, and I can't remember the name of it. Oh shit.
Sinbad?
Yeah, Sinbad.
Yes,
That was closed
Sinbad.
though, right?
No, it was open. So
Okay,
it
we'll
was
get
for
there.
Victoria.
We'll get there. We'll
Yeah.
get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Oh my God, I love that
We'll
one.
get there.
Yeah.
So it was just like the first ride that I went on was Journey to the Center of the Earth. I was like, you know what? It has to be. This is the ride. This has to be the ride. And it was, first of all, let me tell you, Dave, your friend ate. Your friend killed it. Absolutely amazing. Tell her that I said that. Send her this part of the clip and just say, "Girl, Gwen, girl."
Gwen Ballantyne. Her name is Gwen Ballantyne. She was a longtime Imagineer. She worked with me on the Abu Dhabi park. She's a brilliant art director. She's a fine artist now. She does nothing but her own fine art. Gwen Ballantyne art, I believe, is where you can find her, and her paintings are ridiculously amazing.
Tell her that her contribution to the world was definitely, it will not go unseen. Like this, her design, like her art, everything in that, they're just the ride queue alone. Like you feel like you're truly like under the earth. Like it's so cool because you're going into like a lab, and after like, anyways, so I don't want to spoil it. Like it's just such a cool queue. And then once you get to once you start about like boarding, you're gonna go into an elevator. The elevator takes you apparently underground. And even the elevator, it just like seems like such a cool experience. Like it's shaking, like you're hearing things. And you're just
Suck
like,
it,
oh my God,
Gringotts. Tokyo did it first.
Yeah, but better.
So-
Yeah.
but way better. And then you go under the earth, and you're like in this cavern under the earth, center of the earth type of thing. And then you get on the ride vehicles, and the ride vehicles, again, I'm going into this blind. I have no idea about anything. I'm literally just like,
that load station is ridiculously cool. Yeah.
crazy. Like I think the thing that Disney Sea just absolutely gets right is immersion and making you feel like you are truly in these rides and these lands, and that's it. Like this is it.
They're
There's
seamless.
no other thing.
You don't see behind
Yeah.
the curtain ever. It's like it's
Nothing.
absolutely seamless everywhere. Yeah.
Truly. And it's so anyway, you go on the ride, and I'm just like, I'm hearing people talking about a drop, and I'm like, there's a drop? What is going on? And so I'm like, I'm scared. I'm really scared because it's dark. It is super dark. And you go in and you see like all these different creatures, and there's neon and colors and weird plants under the earth, and I, again, tons of videos I will send to you guys, and like pictures that I'll be posting on Twitter and stuff.
How about that lava monster animatronic, right? That you outrun at
terrifying.
the end. Terrifying.
Absolutely
Yeah.
terrifying. Truly,
Moves
and
so
there was
fast.
so and the kid in front of me like literally started crying because I was like same. Like the animatronic for it being so massive, like it moves so quickly and fluid, like it's just so
That's
fluid.
what maintenance does, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Right? Like
Yeah. And
everything is working.
it's basically like if people haven't seen the video, the rough story is like you find like eggs that are some sort of monster, and you find out it's the lava monster, and you find the mom, and she sees your vehicle and like lunges towards you, and you speed up a spiral It's like this helix,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah,
come over the top and drop. And the ride vehicle is basically Test Track and Radiator Springs Racers, but a different style. It's like a slot car, so it can accelerate and
exactly.
decelerate and stuff.
hmm
It's so good. It's such a great ride. There's nothing else like it.
There really isn't, and it's just like it gets really dark at some moments, and then it's very bright
Yeah.
once you get outside, and then it's like once again once you're in the darkness, it's like filled with like neon and color and all these amazing looking creatures, and you really feel like you're at the center of the earth. And the drop, it was just pretty, it was great. I do feel like the ride was a little that's here's the I would say the difference between Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea is that the rides are very short
Mm.
in length.
It is a little short. It is a little short. Yeah.
It's short, but it was, short but impactful. So it was amazing. The ride was just absolutely stunning. Like the drop was just super, super cool.
But the center of that land, the caldera that you're in the middle of, is just like, I want to live there. Like it's so beautiful. Did you do 20,000 Leagues as well?
Of course I did, Dave. Of course I did. Like it was just
Cool, dry for wet submarine. Yeah.
it was super, super cool. The one thing that I will say, it was just like, I don't even know how you can what is in people's brains that allows them to be so creative and just so geniuses, like absolute like I was literally just geeking out the whole time that I was there. I was just like literally smiling, and I was just like, this is so freaking cool. Like I just absolutely loved 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I've never seen, I know that it's based on like a movie or like a book.
Yeah,
And
it's based on Jules Verne, right?
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
excellent movie too. It's a lot of fun, and I think it holds up pretty good for an old Disney movie. But I don't think the ride has anything to do with any of it, to be honest.
No, not really. It's its own story. The other thing that's important to remember about that whole land and the kind of theme of it, that was steampunk before the term even existed.
Mhm.
Like they
Yeah.
designed this in the late 90s. Steampunk didn't really exist.
Yep.
And the entire thing is that aesthetic, right? The Jules Vernean kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's such a cool aesthetic, and I think what's really cool when you're looking at just the land, like from just the outside and just looking at it in general, there's something really interesting about how well they were able to like get the whole steampunk vibe of it all. Like I don't know if you saw, but like stuck on the mountain or like the volcano, there's like a little is it a tractor or a car? It looks like a
Mhm.
tractor car.
Yeah. It's
But yeah,
a drill. It's supposed to
Yep.
be like a drill that drills down into the earth, and it's
yeah.
hung up on a crane. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that was just, I was like, and it's working and it's moving, and I was just the fact that I was surprised and shocked that it was working and moving is, I think that's a testament to
Yeah.
what's going on over here. But it was really, really cool. I absolutely loved it. The other thing that I went on was Nemo and Friends Sea Rider.
I was gonna
Nemo-
say we're just gonna
Hello?
go. We're gonna go ride from ride, I think, in this
We're-
park because they're so.
That's in-
These are the unique ones too. So
Yeah, that's in the, what is that area called? It's supposed to be there. It's the Tomorrowland.
Port Discovery. It's Port
It's
Discovery.
Discovery. Yeah.
Port Discovery, right.
Mhm. It was
There's a fun
such
trick about that land. I don't know if you noticed
Mm,
that. So there's a bay full of like futuristic, submarines and boats. Like it's Tomorrowland for that park, right? And there's a big seawall in the back, and there's a little leak in the middle of it of like water squirting out. And beyond it, you see Tokyo Bay. And it's supposed to be like the water is right up against that seawall. Behind that is an access road and the monorail track. And that seawall is a giant visual block so that you don't see out of the park. And emotionally you're like, oh, I'm at the water's edge because I can see the ocean. But in reality, there's like a 50-foot berm around the park for a road and the monorail track that you'd never see. It's so clever. It's really, really, really clever. Anyway.
Tell us
it
about
was-
Sea Rider. Tell us, because
Sea Rider. I just wish that Star Tours was that we had that instead. Like I wish that we had Sea Rider instead of Star Tours. I know that's gonna sound a little crazy, but that's what I wish the Nemo ride was here. Like I think it was such a great and fun experience when you're going in, and again, I don't really understand all the stuff that's being said, but
Well, it
but it was
it fixes the ride that was there before. It used to be called
Storm
Storm
Rider.
Rider, and it
Mhm.
was not very
Mhm.
good. And while and upgrading to Nemo, they also created the digital projection, which means that if you ride it multiple times, there's different segments. It's like Star Tours, in that it's never the same ride. There's like
Mm.
I think 9 or 12 different options or something like that. But
Does Sea Rider do a drill gag like Storm Rider did, or I don't think
uh,
so.
no,
That
they
is
don't.
the one
They
thing I
took
liked
that
about
out.
Storm Rider. Yeah.
Yeah, where
Which
the weather balloon or whatever it is, the missile comes into the cabin. They took
yeah,
that out.
it stabs through
Mm.
your cabin,
Yeah.
which was a
Oh.
cool kind of interactive. You'd see it on the screen and then it stabs through your cabin, which is
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. But it's the story is that you get it's befitting a Tomorrowland like land, that you are
Mhm.
miniaturized and you hide amongst and
Yes.
you're going to observe the fish, and you have a little
Mhm.
fish shaped submarine that you go out in, and they all think you're a friend.
Yeah. And
It's adorable.
it's very adorable, and I really did love how it's like the little details. There are windows up at the tops, like the left and right,
Yeah.
where you could
Yep.
see the water kind of going through. Where it really does feel like you're like in a little mini submarine.
Yeah.
And I would say that my favorite part of the ride was when the kids are kind of just like trying to pick up the other fish in the little um what do you call it in the aquarium? What would you call that tank?
The touch
The
tank. The touch
the
tank
touch
like at
tank.
SeaWorld.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
you have
like
to
the kids are
swim through the evil
yeah,
hands that are
and
pushing
you're
down.
trying to
Yeah.
get through, and then one of what's her name in the movie in the Nemo movie, the
Darla.
girl with the
Darla, yeah.
Darla.
Darla. She picks you up and she's just like looking at you, and then Hank comes and he like tries to save you, and it's so cute and so well
Yeah.
thought out. Um, and then you get splashed with water, which was really fun, and it was nice because the day was a little bit warm, but just an overall great ride. And I would say the worst part of my day, which says a lot because I would say that it was an amazing day, was that I was literally the third person before I was supposed to get on this ride for Aquatopia, and it broke down.
Oh.
It unfortunately
Yeah.
breaks down a lot. So as long as you saw it and watched how it worked, that's
Yeah.
good enough. It's pretty cool looking, but it does break down a lot.
Yeah. Did you do
You know,
Indiana Jones?
I did do Indiana Jones.
Okay.
But before that, I had
Sure.
a quick question about to Dave about Aquatopia. So I I thought it was like a bumper car type of thing, but I guess
No,
it's not.
no,
So
it's a trackless star.
it's a
It's a
track.
trackless ride. Yeah,
Hmm.
and you're not really floating. It's driving along the bottom, and there's water
Yeah.
effects. There's a whirlpool and water jets and things, and you come precariously close to a lot of them. You get really close to the other vehicles. It's this sort of ongoing ballet of these little taxis on water,
Yeah.
and that's it. It is equally good as a spectator experience. You never really get wet.
Yeah.
But it's again, it was first of its kind, like that and Honey Hunt, where the first time we saw trackless in a theme park, and it
Mhm.
was it's an interesting thing. I wish it had more there, if you know what I mean. Like I wish
Yeah,
it
yeah.
had either a story or an activity, or that you actually get wet or something. But I'm
So
sorry you
how
didn't go
does
on it, but as long as you saw it, it's fine.
yeah, no, I sat there and I watched it. You know, the line was really
Yeah,
long. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
to whoever went on it, I'm glad that y'all had a good time. But so how does it work being because I saw when they drained it, like there was nothing underneath. Like it's just floor. So how does it work being trackless on water?
So it's got drive wheels underneath, and the bottom and the ground is painted with. If you've ever looked at the track for Test Track and
Hmm.
Radiator Springs Racers, the tires have to grip on something. So there's this industrial paint that you can put on that's thick, that you as you paint it, you sort of pull up, and it creates these hard spikes, and it's used for
Okay.
traction for vehicles in like warehouses and stuff. It's hard to describe, but it's basically a friction track that the wheels can grab onto, and so that's what's in Aquatopia. And so it's basically like a the automated skiffs that you see in like an Amazon warehouse that are all pilotless, that don't have people on them, that can move around, and like a trackless ride vehicle. But it can do it in water because it's only a couple of inches of water, and it's heavy enough to keep itself grounded, and there's sort of rubber tires that grip onto the surface underneath. The way it guides itself, usually trackless rides are either a wire embedded in the concrete of the floor that it somewhat follows, or there's a technique that Disney sort of came up with called the early rides used, called free range on grid frog, and it's basically a grid of magnets on the ground, and you can triangulate the ride vehicle in between all of those magnets, but that doesn't work underwater. So if you noticed, the back of the vehicle had like a little pipe on the back sticking up high, and it had each one has a little spinning light on it. Well, that's actually also a spinning laser, like those laser measure things that you use to like measure your rooms in your house. Imagine it's spinning that out all the time, and then there's little posts around the ride that had little decorative things on them. Those are actually reflectors. So the vehicle basically can triangulate its position by its little mast that's sticking up in the back. And then it's just a complicated ride program of how do you get 20 of those to interact at the same time. And so it really, from a show programming and ride programming technique, it is bonkers how that thing works.
Yeah.
Because it has to sort of randomize based on, it's not a continuous chain of ride vehicles. So each one that goes out is sent a different set of instructions, and the one behind it has to react to it. The ones in front of it has to react to it. And it's crazy. It's a crazy piece of math that they created there.
Wow.
It's interesting for sure. My brain still does not necessarily fully understand.
Which is good. That's the difference.
Good. That's a magic trick.
Yeah, magic is fun. Okay. Indiana
Jones.
Yeah, because this is the one that I feel like, I mean, Star Tours, sure, but this is the one that I think you can do a direct comparison to, because you've done Disneyland quite a bit.
Yeah. And the comparison is obviously Tokyo's is 10 times better. And you want to know why? Because it works. It works.
Yeah.
Like it actually has the elements that are working.
And you know why? Because the motion bases, the thing that throws your vehicle around, not the track that it runs on, but the movie part, the shaky part, in Indiana Jones in California, and I think Dinosaur as well, used hydraulic pistons.
Yeah.
So on board every vehicle is a compressor, and those things are full of oil.
That's why you smell it.
That's why you smell it. The ones in Tokyo, they use electromechanical, what are called actuators, the pistons that move it around, which were not available in 1996 when that Indiana Jones opened. So they would have to retrofit all the vehicles in California, which is very, very expensive. And they've talked about it for years, but it's why the Japanese one is way more reliable.
It's so much smoother too. Like you can feel it in the ride experience. You don't feel like you're being
not quite as
around.
jerky. Yeah, because the electromechanical actuators can't actually move quite as fast. Like hydraulic pistons can go very fast, and they're actually have to tone them down for that ride. But electromechanical ones don't have quite the onset speed of hydraulics, so it is a little smoother. It's a little floatier.
Yeah, you definitely feel the difference, and I think the part that I would say that the thing that I like better about ours is that beginning scene where you see the three rooms and you go into the room with the big with the big
but they don't move anymore though. They don't move.
They don't
Yeah.
But we can
see the eye of Mara.
pretend the eye. So like that with how big it is, I think that's a bit more impactful than the one in Tokyo. The one in Tokyo, it's like a little mask on the corner.
Yeah, it is a weird weird change.
But they took the parts that were most unreliable about California, which is the door, the room, the chamber of whatever they call it, the three doors,
secrets or something.
Chamber of Secrets, the rat room, and those are the two biggies, and they changed them, and the rat room became this idol that sort of chants at you and then shoots this smoke ring right at you. And it's a stupid, simple effect how it works. It's just a smoke machine, and it fills up the box, or the idol is basically a big box of smoke with a hole in the front of it. And you can do this. You can, if any of you smokers out there, you take the plastic wrap on the top of your cigarettes and you pull it up so there's a little chamber. You burn a little hole in the small end, and you take a puff and you blow it. And if you tap the plastic wrap, a little smoke ring will go pop and pop out. It's the simplest, stupidest thing, and it's like they scaled it up that one of the walls of the box of smoke is rubber, and there's a little actuator that goes tap, and it makes the smoke ring go pop right out the front and shoot at the vehicle. There's your physics lesson for the day.
Orange lighting, so it feels
looks like
fire.
Right, it's like throwing fire at you, and it blacks out before the thing actually hits your vehicle, but you feel the wind from it. It's
it's warm.
Cool,
it's like warm wind.
Right. And it's a stupidly cool, very simple effect that sort of like the rat rim never quite worked. So they said, well, let's do something else.
Yeah.
I think that's the really cool thing about this ride is that it has a lot of simple elements, but they pack like a really big punch. And I think that
Yeah.
that's the thing with our Indiana Jones rides is that they were so ambitious that
Very ambitious. Yeah.
unfortunately they did not, take into account the level of maintenance that it would
Mhm.
take to like continue those effects going. Because
Yeah.
it's like it sucks that I have to go watch a YouTube video from like the early 2000s to get the full effect of like our Indiana Jones ride. You know
Also,
what I mean?
go watch the new season of Behind the Attraction.
Mhm.
Episode 3 is
Oh,
about Indy,
okay.
and my boss Susan Bonds is interviewed in that. She's part of that.
Cool.
Dave
episode,
knows
so
all
it's
the
very
freaking
cool.
cool people.
Oh, I
like-
got stories about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that when I talk about TEA. Because yeah, everyone knows Dave.
Oh, we still gotta talk about TA.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Don't worry about it. We're good.
All right, we're
Fine.
going.
Love it.
Now we're moving on. So we've done Indy. Did
Well, I
you
have
do the
one more
coaster?
question about Indy. I have one more question about
okay,
Indy.
yes,
You-
yes.
You had the opportunity to see the exterior of this Indiana Jones,
Mm.
which, in all probability, if they continue down their talking lanes and what they're marketing, if they do it or not, this would be the same one that they'll use for Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What did you think about it? Did you like the overall temple vibe, more Aztec kind of South
I did.
American? It worked for you.
I'm not gonna go into the cultural aspect of it because I
Sure.
don't think it's it is what it is. It's Tokyo. I'm not gonna even bother. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I think the oh my gosh, I'm trying to like it was cool. Like
Yeah, it works. It looks good.
It works. It really does work. It looks good. Do I think that it is something that would be considered appropriate now? I'm not entirely sure. But do I think that it works? Absolutely. I think it looks amazing. Even the inside of the temple, it really had I absolutely love the Aztec feel to it. But yeah, I think it was great. I'm
Cool.
not sure if that would work here,
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Dave, you were saying
Yeah.
something?
No. I was going to ask if you did the coaster.
I did, and I
Oh,
loved
Raging
it.
Spirits.
Yeah, Raging Spirits was it was
It's
such
fun.
I did not think there was going to be a loop on that tiny coaster. Like
Yeah, it's a tight little layout. Yeah.
super super tight, and for them to get a loop in there, I was just like, wow. But I think my favorite part was the ending where you're going through the steam, and it's like a big ring, right? And the track goes into it, and then it just puffs out a bunch of steam, and you just go right through it, right after the little loop, which was really great. It's a nice. It's a very smooth ride too. Like it does for it being such a tight, small coaster. It was a very, very smooth ride.
It is good.
And it didn't give me a headache. So for me, that's a 10
That's
out of 10
cool.
on a
Yeah.
coaster.
All right, let's finish up with Sinbad because this is very important. Because it's I think the biggest earworm in all of Tokyo.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so. People don't know this about me, but I do not like Small World. I think it's a very annoying ride. But
it is.
I can appreciate it. No. don't
Yeah,
get me wrong,
you
I
know-
can
you know what would
appreciate
make
the
it a
art. I
lot
think it's
better?
great. Uh-huh.
Make it a lot better if you could bring on a bag of softballs
Yeah.
and whatever you knock down, you can take home. Sorry.
No,
Sorry,
that
Mary
would be
Blair.
great.
It's not your fault.
Sorry, but love her art style.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
great,
yeah.
but it's like a one-time ride for me, and maybe once in the holidays.
Mhm.
But am I the type of person that's like a Small World stan? I would say no.
Yeah.
I find the
No.
dolls to be very creepy. Not my thing. But in terms of Sinbad's, I wish that that's what we had. I thought it
Mhm.
was such a great story. It's such a nice ride. Again, everything works. Everything's maintained. It just looks super super cool. I do wish, because I know that people were talking about there was like a much dark, and I want to hear your
It was-
guys's.
Yeah. It was a
like-
much darker story when it opened.
Yeah, it was a much
scary.
darker story, and apparently they had changed it up in like the
Yeah.
mid 2000s.
2004 or 2004, I think, or 7. No, 2007. was when they redid it.
2007. Okay, yeah. So
The
not
original
too-
version was the actual Sinbad story with
Yeah.
the rock birds
Yeah.
and all of that.
And he
kind
had
of stuff.
he had a goatee. It was like it was like the darker evil twin of this right now.
and it was honestly kind of spooky and scary,
Mhm.
and there was just low ridership.
no
And
Alan
so-
Menken either. Right. No, this is who, is this Menken?
It had
No
it is
song, no
Menken.
song, yeah.
No song in the original. No, I think that I rode both. I rode it when it first opened, and it was fine. The most impressive thing about it, regardless of which version, is those little teeny animatronics, let's put it in perspective. Those things are like 3 feet high. They're not
Yeah.
very big. And
Yeah.
they are as complicated as like the Wicked Witch from the Great Movie
Yeah.
Ride. Like they are what they call a AAA figure. They are
Mhm.
so complicated in this tiny, tiny little body. That was what was sort of revolutionary about it. But I actually think the new one is a far better ride by far.
So did they change the animatronics from this version
No,
to the old version?
they redressed them. They kept them all in the same places. I think they may have moved a couple of them.
They moved a
but
couple.
they
Mhm.
redressed them basically, like and then they added, of course, the
Shadow.
Bay, my Bay, the MVP of the entire goddamn park, in my opinion.
Yes.
Seriously.
Shendu, who is like the Where's Waldo of the ride. He's this adorable little tiger that you have
So
to,
cute.
and they made it so that little kids who don't understand the story are basically doing Where's Waldo, and it's like,
And
where is
that's what I
Shendu
was
in
doing
every
the whole
scene?
time. Like
And he is
just
like, my eyes were like anime star eyes when I saw that thing the first time, and I wanted every Chendu plush and every Chendu thing they had. It's the cutest thing. And it's the testament of it doesn't have to be an IP character for it to be amazing and cute.
Yep.
And but that song though, like,
Oh God.
first of all,
A bop.
find it. It's a bop. Find it online if you haven't heard it. It's all in Japanese except for the title. So it's like
Yeah.
Japanese, 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 compass of your
Yeah.
heart. You know,
Though there is now at least 2 versions I've heard in the full English. Alan
Oh.
Menken sings
Oh.
one. Alan
Cool.
Menken sings one on YouTube, and then I think it was it was a Japanese concert. I think they were doing Alan Menken music or something, and it's a quartet of people. I know because I put it on my latest like Tokyo music playlist.
Send to
So
me, please.
I will find it. Yes, absolutely.
It's sung by a guy named Kenji Sakamoto, who's a Japanese actor and singer.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That
the
song is a
original.
bop, though. It's
Oh
so
my God,
beautiful.
it's so good.
It's so beautiful.
It's
Yeah, that's
absolutely amazing.
That's a great little ride. It's so charming. What did you think?
I thought it was great. And honestly, for someone that was, like I said, I don't really love a lot of those like storybook rides. I don't like sitting with the dolls and stuff. But I thought it was and like you said, Shinju is like the absolute best part of this ride. And it was so cute. And I was looking for a plush of him literally right as soon as I got off, I was like, where's the store? For the first time, I was like, give me a store at the exit. Like, I need to go buy him right now.
My
but,
favorite snack in the park was they do a Chengdu tiger tail.
Yes.
It's like a curry bun, but it's orange and black and in the shape of his tail. And I
So
ate like
cute.
10 of them when I went there last time in 2019.
I feel like next time I really want to focus more on the snacks and the food. At this time I was really just focused on the rides and trying to
Yeah.
pack in as much as possible. But
Yeah.
there's just so much to see and do in this park. And you guys were saying that there's no more annual passes, which I think is
No.
crazy. I would get one, to be honest.
Yeah.
I
Oh
really
yeah,
would.
I would. Yeah.
It's such a great park. But finishing it off with the final 2 things that I really thought were great. The Mermaid Lagoon, go during sunset. Go
Mm.
doing
Yeah.
if you go during sunset, it's so beautiful, like the way that it sparkles. And I didn't go on any of the rides just because I didn't really feel the need to, but I
Nah.
did go
no,
inside
you don't
and
need
check
to.
it out.
For those who
Yeah, it
don't
was-
know, Mermaid Lagoon is basically indoor Little Mermaid kind of a fair. It's not fair
Yeah.
Mini
oriented,
park. Yeah.
but it's like the little kind of like
More kiddie
ride
rides.
the one that would kind of go up and down and kind of bop a little bit.
Bounce.
Like that's
the
Yeah.
something
spinning ride,
The
jellyfish.
jellyfish.
family coaster. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a decent show that's like all aerial,
Mhm.
not aerial the character, but aerial performances on
Yeah.
like floating rigs and mechanized and all the sisters, and it's a cute little show. Did you go to that?
No, I didn't, but I
Okay.
really wanted to. Like
You can see it
they-
online. You can see it
Yeah,
online.
no, I figured the one show that I did go to, and I'm so glad that I picked this show out of all of them, was the Big Band Beat.
Oh my
Oh,
God, it's
so
so
got
good.
tickets to that.
amazing.
That's
I went-
so hard to
it's-
get into.
I didn't even have tickets. I just walked in.
That's
Oh my
insane.
God. It used to be that you had to go get a little fast pass, and the way they do passes for that show are these ticket machines at the front of the park, and it's randomized, and you go up and you
Yeah.
put in your ticket, and you might have a chance, you might not. It's very egalitarian,
Really?
very Japanese. Yeah. And so
Wow.
I've only seen it once, but it's so good.
So
so good.
good. Like first of all, how those like how the dancers are able to dance in those costumes and give us a full moment, a full
It's
choreography
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
with tap shoes and everything. I was just like,
Yeah.
oh my god. And then
Yeah.
like I don't want to spoil it, and I don't even think you can find videos of it online because the cast members were on it as soon as they saw a
Mhm.
phone pop out, they're like, no, like they were not letting
Yep,
anybody
nope.
film
Mm-mm.
Nope.
or do
Nope, nope,
anything.
nope,
No
nope.
pictures,
You're not
no
allowed to
filming.
film inside anything, and they will come up and be very politely and tell
Very
you to put
polite,
your phone
but
away.
yeah, but you'll feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
you're like, oh, I
Because they're
should have
so
done that.
polite. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and it's like, oh, I just sneak in a couple, but don't tell them.
I
I'll
won't.
send them
I
to you
won't.
guys.
Go-
Sarah, I can get
But
you. I have the soundtrack for Big Band Beat if you want it.
please
It's great.
send it,
It's really good.
amazing.
please. Like it
Go-
was so good.
Going back to Mermaid Lagoon for a second, on the outside,
uh-huh.
did you notice all the tile work on the outside with every little piece of tile? It was like it was this cool broken tile mosaic, and
Yes,
each piece
yes,
had a different little bas relief mold of one of the characters. Right.
yeah.
The story goes that those were all made by a tile maker in Italy, who was renowned for that kind of tile work, like little sculpts and tile mosaics. And there's so many of them that job closed their shop, and he retired very, very wealthy. That's the
Yeah.
joke, is that it was his only job. It was his family's only job for like 3 years, was like doing all the tile on the outside of Mermaid
And
Lagoon.
it's a
And then he's
lot of
like, I'm
tile.
good, no more.
Yeah,
Time to retire.
yeah, and it was
Or to put him out of
work.
business. I'm not quite sure which story's right, but
But it was great. And Mermaid Lagoon, I think, was just so beautiful, and the way that
Yeah.
the lighting on there. I don't
Yeah.
even like. I think they have like little twinkling lights. Would those be lights? I'm guessing they would be lights that they have like within the structures or the tall pillars. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah, and it's also, it's got glitter in it. So
Yeah.
as you move, it just picks up the light as you move around.
Which is why
It's
I'm
great.
saying like around sunset time,
It's
it was
beautiful.
beautiful. I absolutely loved the way that it looked and all the colors and just something about Disney Sea. Even though there were so many people there and so much foot traffic, the park just felt so fresh and so
Yeah.
clean, and like it's almost like I was walking into a brand new park. Like it was not
Yeah.
faded.
Yeah.
Like the colors were just absolutely great. Like it was just very bright, very beautiful.
It's
Just
amazing. It's amazing how good things can look when you don't have a Florida or California sun. beating down on
Yeah,
them.
exactly. There's one little
Yeah.
detail that when the walkway that connects Mermaid Lagoon to Mount Prometheus, to the
Yes.
right,
Mhm.
you go under sort of this bridge thing.
Yeah.
I want you to go on to Google Earth and
Uh-huh.
look at the top down view of that little underpass where you walk in, because it looks like you're just walking into the volcano.
Yeah.
What it really is that's an entire road that a tall truck can go through without you seeing it, and get to the center of the park where those rides are, and food service, and there's a whole back of house, and it's this giant road that
Oh my
is so
God,
well
you're not kidding.
no,
It's
look at it.
massive.
It's nuts, because both the food service for Port Discovery and the food service for Mount Prometheus and all the ride maintenance is right in the middle of the park.
What
It has to
the
have back
hell?
house somewhere. Yeah, go check it out, because when you're in the park, you don't clock it at all, because it's all rock work, and it's designed with a point of view that ties it to Mount Prometheus.
That's crazy.
That's
It's
a whole
insane.
freeway.
It's literally a freeway.
It
in back,
truly
right.
is. Yeah.
And that also goes to an entire dock that you don't see for all the boats that are going into
Yeah,
the
yeah.
center show. You can see it on Google Earth. It's one of those things that I did not know the first time I went, because there was no such thing as Google Earth the first
Yeah.
time I went. If there was, they didn't have pictures of it yet. But years later, I was like, what the actual F? Like it is a beautiful piece of park master planning that hides everything in plain sight, because back of house is always difficult, right?
Mhm.
You have to be able to get to you have to have access, huge access, for food and merchandise and maintenance of giant ride vehicles that need to come on and offline. And by designing a park with two major attractions and 3 major restaurants right in the center of it, they had to put a back of house access for it, and they disguised it in a beautiful way. So listeners, go open Google Earth and look at the road that's between Mermaid Lagoon and Mount Prometheus, and be amazed.
Mhm.
And then look at the
I-
guest views from within the park, and it's
Yeah.
like you have no idea.
Well, and
I'm-
also that thing you were
Mhm.
talking about of the you can actually see the water spurting out of the dam.
Yeah, and you can see the
it.
monorail
You
track
can-
right behind it.
Yeah, and you can see it. You can see the water coming out on Google Maps. So worth
Yeah.
seeing.
I'm literally in shock right
Goop-
now because
gooped. Totally gooped.
this I did not see any of this. What again? Talk about immersion. Like, where is
Yeah.
all this? I
Yeah.
had no idea that any of this was even there.
It's so good.
You didn't do
That's
Soren,
so
right?
crazy. No, I didn't do Soren.
Because
I
it
had
had
a
like a 4-hour line, most likely.
yeah. It
Yeah.
just it was so long, and then I did have a what do you call a priority pass for it, but I missed it because I was just like, you
You-
know what?
The queue
It's
is
not
pretty.
worth
It's a
it.
pretty Italian building. It's the same ride. There's nothing new
Yeah,
about
I
it.
just looked at
Pre-show's
it from
cool.
outside.
Pre-show's
Pre-show's
pretty
cool.
cool. You can
Yeah.
see that
I mean,
online.
yeah. So it just you know, to me it was just really about trying to get as much done as possible.
Mhm.
Did you walk through
Um,
Fort Discovery in the center?
I-
The
I
little
did.
castle.
Yes, Port Discovery is so cute. Like
no.
I
I'm sorry. Not Port Discovery. Fort. What is it? The little castle, little Italian castle right in front of the.
where
Oh God, what is it called? It's a bunch of interactives. There's a restaurant in it. It's part of the Portofino Bay theme. It's got a
Oh
little pirate
yeah.
ship in front of it.
Fort Exploration.
castle?
Fort
No.
Explorations. That's it. Fort Exploration.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
right.
trying
You
to
go next time.
remember- Okay.
It's basically a little walkthrough, and it's all these little interactive pieces that are all like little Italian scientific models, and like they're right
yeah,
out
no,
of,
I didn't
Yeah.
go there.
The Magellan stuff.
they're-
Yeah.
the-
it's
yeah,
really cute.
yeah. It's very cute. Anyway, you see that next time. We're
Yeah,
all going to go together
Next time.
anyway.
Oh
So
my
no, we
God.
are. Yeah, but I
So-
thought you were talking about Port Discovery. Port Discovery is cute,
Port
but
Discovery is really cute.
I did not go into that
Oh,
area.
Tower.
Mhm.
What do you think of Tower?
Oh God.
Oh my god. Did
How did we forget about
literally-
Tower?
How did we forget about
There's so much good stuff at sea, man.
Tower? That tower is my problematic fave. It was such
Well,
a
it's
great-
about a colonizer getting his comeuppance, really.
It's
Yeah.
essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
He was literally a guy who was just exploring the world, being his colonizer self, and
Stealing shit from
stealing trick-
everywhere.
stealing shit from everywhere. And then there was like a little, I don't even what would it be like an
It's in
African
a little idol.
Mhm.
His
It's like
name.
an
He has a
African idol, yeah.
name
Shariki?
too. Shariki
So-
Ntundu, yeah, is his name, and it's
Yeah.
not. I don't know if it's African. They don't really. I don't think they
No,
put a
it's
fine
just
point
sort
on
of
where it's from.
wherever.
Yeah,
They
an
had a lot
other.
of
It's from other.
African like traditional masks up, so that's why I
Yeah.
figured it might be
Yeah.
African. But
The way he disappears in the pre-show is one
That's
of
so
my
cool.
favorite
That's
disappearance gags.
it
ever.
was so funny
Yeah.
how everybody was like looking around trying to figure out where did he go. Like people were literally going up trying to see
Yeah, yeah.
because you would think it's like maybe like a mirror effect or something where
It's crazy.
it's kind of covering it up, but it was crazy good. Like you could not tell. I still don't know how it disappeared. Dave, if you know.
I do. I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's magic.
okay,
It's
so-
magic.
okay,
It's magic. All you need to know is magic. And how about
It's-
those over the shoulder seatbelts on Tower?
Amazing, and we need that more often. like the over the shoulder seatbelts I thought was really it was very strange, and it was kind of funny because there was a guy right behind me and you could tell he was American and then he like put the seatbelt, the overhead behind him just so that he could
Ugh.
have like the waist bar, and I was just like, bro, come on now. Like,
Bro,
it's not that deep. Like it's not that serious.
You were literally,
Um,
bro, you were literally in a ride about why Europeans and Americans need to follow
Exactly.
the rules. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
that's what the
Yeah.
ride's
It's-
about, bitch. Like, follow the rules.
Follow the rules. But the queue I thought was just so jam packed with so many little cool trinkets and so many things that I feel like the queue itself should be a ride. Like it should be a little walkthrough
It's so
experience
cool.
that you get to like stop and look at all the different little things that are there. And I think that what I really, really liked overall was just the theming of it. The theming is just amazing. To me,
Yeah.
it didn't really match the outside, to be honest with you,
Mm.
once you go in. But I thought it was great. It was very, very great. And I love the big Egyptian pharaoh statue inside.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
very random.
really
mean, it's
evil
the-
looking.
It's the coolest
Yeah.
gift shop. I don't know if you had a chance to really dive
Yeah.
into that gift shop, but the fact that it's a redone spa
It
that
was
has
the
been
spa
filled
and the
in.
pool of the old, and they filled it in and made it the shop. It's very clever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
very,
cool.
very clever. It's just amazing. I would say for me, out of all the towers, it's my favorite because of the story. The story is just the best.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just wish that there was that I would have spent more time which is crazy to say. I wish I would have spent more time in the queue to really
Yeah.
get
you-
like a deeper look.
Did you go on board the what is it called, the Columbia, the sailing
The
ship
Columbia.
Columbia?
I didn't. I just saw it from the outside.
Okay, it's got a great bar in it. Got a
My
really
legs
great
were
bar.
tired by that point. So, like, there was,
Sea
I-
alone
that
is
day
like
I
a
had
2-3 day park, like easy.
Yeah, no, easy. And I wish I would have spent more time there. I think that day I maybe walked 15 miles just around the entire park. Like it was absolutely insane. But yeah, that was my Tokyo Disney experience. And I would say that
Woohoo.
my favorite part of Tokyo Disney Sea was the Big Band beat.
That's awesome.
Just
It
just
I
is
want
great.
that.
amazing.
I want that at Hyperion so damn bad.
So bad. And that's the thing, I feel like it would absolutely kill here.
Yep,
Like
it would.
there were so many reference to American culture that I think that kind of flew over
I mean,
people's heads that
it's
were
all
there.
in. Is it all in English, right? Like
It's
for the
all
most
in
part.
English. It's
Yeah.
all English. Like the characters, they talk in English. The music is obviously sung in English, and it was like a
Goofy
tribute
sings
to
a
that
jazz
era.
song. How could you not
Yeah.
love that?
And it was all a tribute to that era. And I think there were moments where like it was little jokes here and there where the audience is supposed to laugh or like kind of clap at certain
Mhm.
moments where Mickey's like, oh, give a second round of applause for a minute, and like people didn't really get that, so I was the only idiot clapping half the time. Like, and then
You're like, I know what
people
they're
would look at
saying.
me-
Yay!
yeah, and people
Yeah.
would look at me as if I was being rude, and I'm just like, I promise I'm not being the loud annoying American. It's just it's meant for the show, I promise. But yeah, I just wish that show was here. It was so
Oh,
great.
man.
And the characters just looked absolutely amazing. So anyways, Tokyo Disney Sea, I would say it's my favorite park out of all the Disney parks so far. I'll give you guys my conclusion after the China parks.
Okay, all right.
So yeah.
Very cool. Thank you so much for all of that amazing information, our international correspondent. Dave, you mentioned a bar earlier, and we're going to talk about a new bar that is showing up at the Disney cruise ship. What kind of bar might 99 ghosts and a couple patrons fit into?
It's the bar that after I die, you can just sprinkle my ashes in the bar somewhere, and I'll just stay there for the rest of my life. It
Put
is a
that in
haunted
your
mansion
will,
bar.
please, so we all know.
It's the haunted mansion bar. The art is great. It actually reminds me a lot of the new lounge that they created for Club 33, not the main
Mhm.
restaurant, but the one that Kim Irvine did a couple of years ago. If you've never
Yeah.
seen pictures of it, it's very similar to this. It's beautiful, and there's a bunch of illusions in it. There's obviously visual callbacks to the ride, like the weird chair with the face, the Raleigh Crump face on it, the Donald Duck face as they call it. There's a bunch of cool drinks. There's some tiki mugs and haunted looking glassware that you can get. It all looks great. There's something that Nathan said in one of our chats though that
Mhm.
sort of rings true with me, that it's like a bar is going to be loud and boisterous.
Yep.
And is that what the haunted mansion vibe wants to be? So I don't know. I mean, jury's still out. I'm
Yeah.
excited for it, and if I ever take a cruise on that ship, I'll be very excited to go and see video and pictures from it. If I don't, but it's like, is the
Like if
haunted
it's a
mansion
like if it's a bar that's open at 2 a.m, great. It's going to
Yeah.
be a perfect 2 a.m. bar.
exactly,
But
exactly.
but this thing is going to be so goddamn full of people.
Yeah,
And probably kids. I don't know what the limitations are. Bars.
Can
there.
you bring kids to bars?
I don't know what Disney
I
cruises
don't know
are like.
what they do. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Um,
There were 18 and over areas that
Yeah, that's
there's a whole-
true.
there's a-
That's true.
but
that
I don't
could
know.
help.
Yeah, there's a whole
Um,
bar like district that after a certain time is
Mhm.
21 and up or 18.
That
and up.
certainly could help. I think the lighting that they show in this concept art, I kind of laugh because I'm like, there's no way they're gonna let it be this dark.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's
No,
safety wise, there's no way.
you're 100% correct. 100%.
So yeah, that's where I land. I have no issue with this bar in the sense that it exists. I just have an issue with the idea that this bar can work, like Haunted Mansion period can work for something like this.
Yeah,
But-
it is 100%
Mhm.
my jam, but I'm kind of 25% with Nathan on this one.
I'm gonna be devil's advocate here for a second.
Advocate away.
Advocate away. So do you think that, because the Haunted Mansion to me is a very lively like
The graveyard
mansion.
scene, yes, for sure.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then I feel like because it's like, you know, what is it? Is it 999 ghosts? That's a
Yeah.
lot of people.
Yeah.
So don't you feel like if they were to have a bar in the mansion that it would be loud and boisterous because all those ghosts have such crazy personalities and are so, you know, wild.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this bar that and again, my brain can only think about these kind of things from a on
Like a
resort
story?
vibe, like
Mhm.
and a story vibe for sure, but like on a resort vibe, and like the amount of people that are in a resort and could come through. A cruise ship might be entirely different. Like it might just never get very full in that sense. This might feel more like a hotel bar that people kind of come in and out, and it's more of a chill thing to do, opposed to a like, you know, I don't know, in an actual theme park bar or a theme park restaurant where they're like, oh, I got other things I got to do. I mean, the vibe of a cruise ship is generally to be kind of chill, which can certainly help with that. I'm curious on what the other angles of this place are, because it looks even smaller than, say, like Trader Sam's or something. It looks really, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's tiny.
it looks like the bar is in the middle. And if you look at one of the images Disney released, it looks like behind that there's more seating. So it might work out fairly well. But yeah, it just seems real small. So
There's like 9 seats at the bar.
yeah,
I do love that one of the drinks is called the sympathetic libation. That makes me
Yeah.
very,
that's
very
very
happy.
good. That's very good. And there's
And,
an
and there's
eye in
another
the
one called
cocktail.
Ghoulish. There's one called Ghoulish Delight.
Conjuring up the magic.
I'm okay. I'm okay
That's
with that.
cute.
And they actually publish the recipes on the blog, which is
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
And
That's
they look
interesting.
super, super cool. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
that black drink, the sympathetic libations, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But you know, these aren't pictures, right? These are just renderings. So I feel like it's not gonna look this good. Just it's unfortunate.
We'll see.
But I'm you know, I think it'll be cool. I wish that it was more of a hotel bar than a cruise ship bar, like you were
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would fit more of like a resort.
Well,
yeah,
vibe.
but on the cruise ship, it's the capacity doesn't have to be as high because
yeah, they can manage it.
You can manage it
Very
better. Yeah,
true, very
that's probably
true.
why. That's probably why they did it there and not like in one of the parks.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
God, you couldn't
Oh,
do it.
you could never do
In the
this.
parks?
Oh my
No.
God.
No.
Yeah,
Never.
no
No.
way.
Ever. I mean, you could maybe do something like this. There's not a good. I don't. Yeah, there's not really a good resort that kind of matches this vibe. Like you could,
Mhm.
if there was,
Maybe Port
The
Orleans.
Grand Floridian? No.
Port Orleans might be able to work that out. Actually, Grand Flow is too delicate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's decided it's Mary Poppins and Alice over there. New Orleans is not. You're not wrong about that. That would actually work pretty well if you if you took an area and just kind of put one of these in there after the initial sort of like blogger sphere gets done with it. You would probably have a pretty chill bar. This does remind me. It's a little more interactive than bars we've seen recently, but it does sort of have like the new, well, not new anymore, Beauty and the Beast bar at Grand Flow and some of those. Let's see here. They did the Mary Poppins stuff in Grand Flow as well. It's more subtle than you might expect. I think you could. The wallpaper clearly is Haunted Mansion. The chair is Haunted Mansion, but you know, without the stuff in the mirror, you know, it can feel pretty subtle, which I like. I actually think that's a better call than this works out fairly well for that kind of thing. But they've been doing some real hits recently with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, I mean, God bless it. I don't really have any issue with it. We'll just see how it kind of pans out. So, but you know, who knows? Let's talk about a place that we all can actually go, which is McDonald's. Dave, the 100th it feels like it's been here forever.
Remember like 5 years ago when we started celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Disney company? Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
It needs to end.
I'm with you. It's like, when did this start again?
Well, because it's no good. If it was fun and interesting
really,
and good.
Well, and it also got muddied by Walt Disney World's 50th, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
I when I was there, I've heard people say, "Oh, Disney World's 100 years old." Like, people just don't understand.
No.
Anyway,
You know who
So,
has
yeah.
a really good? Sorry, like quick
No,
sidetrack.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Tokyo's 40th. That's a
Oh, yeah.
celebration.
Ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, you have now witnessed Saara doing a thing that classic Disney fans have done for decades now, which is,
Yep.
Tokyo, which is,
You know, when I went to Tokyo,
Yeah.
during Tokyo,
congrats, you are part of a very
Oh my
annoying but
God.
always right club.
sorry about it.
You're
Sorry,
right, though.
like-
not
Right.
sorry. Not sorry at all.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
She went to Tokyo, you guys. She
Yep.
like I said on Twitter, never beating the Disney adult allegations.
No.
It's just
No.
never gonna happen.
No.
No. So what this is Happy Meal toys for Disney 100, and they are 62 characters that look like, I mean, they're mini Funkos, let's be honest, but they're not branded as Funkos, so screw you Funko Pops. But they're that kind of, abstracted version of 62 different characters. What's cool is you actually get 2 in every Happy Meal,
That
which
is
is
kind of
fun.
neat.
That is kind of good.
I would
Um,
say, come on, McDonald's. You have a 100th anniversary and you do 62. Like, fuck
I know.
you.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
Because I saw the sheet of pictures online, and I'm like, oh, rows of 10. There must be 10. Wait,
No.
what?
No.
No.
But you know it doesn't matter because your local McDonald's is probably gonna get the same 2 characters and have 100 of those
Well,
to give
because
out.
you're right. They come with 2 characters, but they're 2 surprise characters. So what that means, and they figured this
Blind
shit
pack.
out. They figured this out, which is you
Mhm.
can't even ask your poor McDonald's employee that has not made any money. I need the Shang-Chi. And they're gonna be like, I can't see what's in these. Like, I can just give you another one. Like,
I
this
want
is
the ones that no
blind
one
boxed.
wants. Like, I'm gonna want the ones that everyone hates. That's
the
one.
Condor Man one. No, I'm kidding. I wish.
I wish. I wish.
There's not even a Tron one. This is I should say,
It's just animated.
it's dog shit. It's not good. It's bad. It's not just animated because the Mandalorian's in there.
Oh, right, sure.
And
Yeah, it's got
Shang-Chi.
Star Wars and Marvel too. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
And they give, let's see, out of these 62, they give, let me count it, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them to Wish, which isn't even out yet. That's
Which is crazy.
nuts.
Meow.
Uh,
I want the star though. The funky little star character
he's
looks
cute.
fun and mischievous, and
I'm not saying they're not cute.
he looks like Chaos in the trailer, which makes me happy. I hope he's Chaos.
Yeah.
Valentino's cute too, though. The goat.
Yeah, we love Valentino.
Oh yeah, we like Valentino. I wish he was like he's like Black Peter's happy cousin, basically. For those of you who never saw The Witch, sorry.
that reference went right through my
Right over
eye.
your head. Okay,
Mm,
well,
yep.
Didn't he?
it's a goat.
very funny.
Who is the embodiment of Satan, who asks you,
Oh.
"Would thou like to live deliciously?" Anyway, sorry. Moving on.
Yeah. I mean, there's really not much to say beyond that. Like, what did you guys think of the toy? Like, it is just sort of
They're okay.
an
They're cute.
amalgamation.
They're cute.
They've done better because
Fine.
this isn't the first time Disney has released like a huge supply of different characters for stuff.
Yeah.
It's such a short time though. It's basically going to be available for only like a month.
You know how much
So-
McDonald's you'd have to eat to get all of these things?
Oh,
Yeah.
people don't eat McDonald's for this. They just buy. They just
They
buy
just
the
buy
meal
the
and
Happy
dump
Meal and
it.
throw it all out.
Well, if you think about it, like a Happy Meal is like what $4.50 for like
Yeah.
2 toys. That's a pretty good deal, especially
Well,
if it's
and-
Disney.
And they're not saying what the rarities are, but there are rarities. This is it. This is going to be. There's a whole.
They
market
did not
for-
make an equal amount of every character.
No.
Guaranteed.
No,
No.
Guaranteed.
just wait till they get on eBay if you don't want to go to McDonald's.
It's
Yeah.
99% the Wish characters, and the
You're
rest is-
not wrong. You're not wrong at all. You're not wrong. That's gonna be
Yeah.
what happens. Everyone's gonna be like, I got another fucking King Magnifico. Are you kidding me? Yeah. So anyway, it's fine. Whatever.
It's fine.
I feel like I feel like it really says everything I want to say about the 100th, which is like, well, there's not 100 of these, and it's mostly just to promote the thing that's coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, there's not even a Steamboat Willie on here. Like, Jesus Christ.
Which is crazy.
Awful.
Like, how do you not have a Steamboat Willie?
Because it sucks.
Does it have any classic characters? Is there a Mickey, Donald, Goofy?
There's a
Pluto,
Mickey. There's I
Minnie?
think the classic 5. I see
Okay.
Mickey, I see Minnie, I see
The Fab
Daisy.
Five,
there's
as they call it
Daisy.
internally.
I'm sure there's Donald. You can't
You can't
wait.
not
This
have-
is so important to me now. This is I see Donald. I was like,
Okay.
if you don't
Oh, whew.
Wait, is there a Goofy?
there's Pluto.
Yeah, there's a Goofy.
and there's a Goofy. Yeah. Yeah, you
Okay.
gotta. There's no way. You gotta.
The Fab
But-
Five.
Yeah.
Is there a Roger Rabbit?
No.
No.
Of course there's not.
They don't count Roger really.
Is there a Rocketeer?
It's
No.
Nope.
It's a scam.
It sucks. Well, at least Roger was sort of like co-owned by. Why you don't see a lot of Roger stuff, by the way, is because it's co-owned.
Yeah.
Is there an
they-
Oswald?
Amblin. Amblin.
Yeah, I work with
No
Amblin.
Oswald.
No
How
Oswald.
could you not have an Oswald?
Well, what Oswald?
whatever.
What's Oswald? What am I blanking on?
Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
The
Oh,
rabbit.
See, I'm from the East Coast. We barely have any Oswald over here, so we
Yeah.
don't think about him very much. So you said Oswald, and I was like, Cobblepot? I don't think.
Oswald and his girlfriend Hortensia.
Hortensia.
Yeah, Hortensia's not. She's not even on here.
Yeah,
Well, we just started getting merch for Oswald like this year, so
that's true.
we don't really have room to talk.
Let's go ahead and move on to if you want to collect all of the Disney characters, it's going to get even easier because they're merging with Hulu officially. Disney is.
They're buying.
Dave,
yeah.
give us the laydown. This is, I think, something we've all seen coming for a long time. But
So
it's official.
Hulu was a the original agreement for Hulu was a agreement between Disney, Comcast, 20th Century Fox. There were multiple owners of Hulu behind it, right?
Yeah.
And it's a cable provider. Let's not beat around the bush. It's basically a cable provider because they have their own original stuff, but they also just license movies and TV shows from a lot of people because it's for a lot of people it's their cable replacement or their over-the-air replacement. But Disney, there was they bought the final 33% stake in Hulu, which they will completely own in January 2024, and that cost them $8 billion. And so they bought that from Comcast. That was Comcast's share, was that 33%. So they just paid Universal Studios $8 billion. Let's put it in. That's the best commentary I heard was from Robert Niles on Theme Park Insider. He's like, Disney just paid for Epic Universe.
No,
Basically.
literally.
Or they paid for multiple Epic Universes, right?
Yeah.
So Disney is now, jumping into piles of gold like Scrooge McDuck, or Universal is jumping in piles of gold like Scrooge McDuck now, because that is a massive payoff
Yeah.
and a very big deficit for a model that has yet to prove as anything, profitable. Streaming is
And that's
still
what yeah.
an albatross to them.
They're
So,
doubling down just so that they can seem relevant.
Is that the logic behind it though? Because I'm trying to understand why Disney right now in this economy would be investing more into the money pit of streaming services. Like I'm truly
Because-
not getting it.
It's- I mean,
go-
honestly, I think it's because it's cheaper to buy it than it is to figure
License
out the
to it.
red tape to get
Yeah.
all of Fox over to Disney and all of the live. So because Hulu has live,
right.
Yeah.
that is something that Disney would have to completely reconfigure under a new. They would have new deals made for all of that, and
It would be more expensive.
right now they can just shuffle underneath the current deals. So it's probably a decent deal in the end, but still.
Yeah, I think the way Disney sees it is because it's going to be lumped into Disney Plus, right? It's all going to be one.
Yeah.
It'll be a channel within Disney Plus, but like it basically makes Disney a cable provider,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah, I
that's
can
what
see
this
that.
does. So I think a lot of people. It'll also sweeten the pot for people who maybe are on the fence about getting Disney Plus if they already subscribe to Hulu. It might sweeten the pot for Disney Plus subscribers who don't have Hulu to get it because it's live TV. I don't know. I'm one of those people who shares logins with other friends, so I don't pay for both.
Yeah.
So screw you, corporations.
I'm giving up Disney Plus. Like it's too expensive. They've
It's too
doubled it
expensive.
it's-
Ours renews in like 2 weeks, and I'm not sure we're going to
For
renew it just 'cause
nothing,
There's just not
honestly.
enough on it.
Yeah. Not that
know.
I can't find elsewhere, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly.
So, and you know what, Disney? You can be mad. I get it, but these are you're the one that decides to make billion-dollar shows that don't make any money on a
Yeah.
platform for $10. So
I just finished Loki. What a big wet fart of a
it's
show.
not over. There's 2 more episodes.
Oh, okay. Then I I hope it ends better. But I don't love it. I don't love it.
I haven't
We'll talk
even
about it when it
started.
done. We'll talk about it when
Okay,
it's
we'll
done.
talk about it when it's done. We'll
I
talk
would
about it when it's
say
I'll
it
watch it
is-
this weekend.
If you liked Loki 1, it's fun. I would say it's not as revolutionary. It's a little
No.
too circling around itself in the sense
Well,
of the plot doesn't seem to move
Is it
very
not
far.
moving? It's not moving forward at all.
No.
Not
And Nathan and I are
really.
in lockstep about not liking Ashoka either. So
No, I fuck the
Ashoka
show.
was
I
hot,
hate it
hot
so much.
garbage.
I
Hot
hated it
garbage.
so much. Oh, we never. You were gone when we talked about Ahsoka.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
I
that for
was.
1 second because it's more interesting than the Hulu news. And
So
I want to talk.
yeah.
I wanted someone to agree with me.
So here's my thing. I love Rosario Dawson. I thought
Sure.
she was brilliant casting. I wanted to
Mm.
love her in it.
Yep.
Ray Stevenson.
Incredible.
I will carry his babies anytime he wants. Too bad he's dead.
It's going to be hard, but we can try.
Anyway, he's a great actor. He's looks like a great character.
Oh, and it's an amazing part. If there's anything that's interesting in this show, it's what he's doing.
Yeah, and then like, but then I 2 episodes in, everybody is talking like this, and every scene takes 3
So
times
long.
as long
So long.
as it needs. That show could have been 10-minute episodes.
It is a hour and a half movie at best.
At best.
Best.
And then so there's a bunch of shit I'm missing in the first 5 or 6 episodes because I've never watched Clone Wars because Clone Wars is homework to me.
Oh, and Rebels. It's mostly Rebels, but yeah.
Right. And I never watched Rebels, and I know all my friends who love that show, and they say it's better
really
than Clone
good.
Wars.
Yeah.
And I will get to it. I will get to
Don't
it.
worry.
I'm not
it's fine.
smashing it, but it's like I shouldn't have to do that homework, guys.
No, you shouldn't.
There's so
I
much
should not
homework.
have to. There should have been a prologue. There should have been flashbacks or something to recreate more scenes from that show so I know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And it just, by the end of that show, I could care less about anybody.
Are you telling me? And I don't care if look, gang. Maybe I care a little bit. If you don't want Ahsoka spoiled at this point, I don't know. Fast forward 30 seconds. Oh, and you, Saara, did you watch it all? Are you done? I don't want to ruin it for you.
No, go ahead and ruin it. I wasn't gonna watch anyway.
It's really simple. When your show ends and the only thing you've done is switch 2 characters or 3 characters from different planet, like, oh, now she's in this galaxy and he's over in the Star Wars galaxy, and that's it.
And
That's
that's
all
it.
we've done because we need to set up the big
So
Mandalorian
what was the
movie we're
point?
gonna do. God knows. Who knows?
And even Ray Stevenson, even whatever that character's name is, like he was just like, I wanted to love his character, but it's so underwritten that he's only there to initiate a couple of lightsaber fights, and that's it. And his Padawan's even worse. Like she's only there to stab
she's
somebody.
terrible.
Terrible.
And I would say that there's a shot at the end where he's standing by these statues, and if you know about the Force wielder, there's some lore, and you kind of go, "Oh, cool." But if you don't, why would you know? Like, why would you care?
I had to go watch all the new Rockstars recaps who effusively talk about Rebels, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can understand why you would like that if you watch that show, but I shouldn't have to do homework for these shows. It's the flaw of the Marvel shows being all interconnected somewhat.
Yes.
That at a certain point, a lot of them fall apart. The strongest ones are the ones that you can watch just because they're good. I would say Ms. Marvel is a perfect example. I loved Ms. Marvel because I didn't even need to know anything about anything.
I think the thing about Loki too, in this sort of scenario, is Loki's second season isn't as good as its first because it's leaning more into setting up a bad guy. It has its own vibe, it's doing its own thing, but at the same time it's starting to do that thing where it's like we're setting things up, we're setting
a bad
things
guy
up
that they may not actually use after this,
oh
right?
can we
let's talk about that.
let's move on to I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say about
anyway,
Ahsoka.
live action Snow White, moving on.
No,
Okay.
we'll talk about I want to talk about live action Snow White. We can do that. And then we'll talk
You
about
wanna do that
Marvel
first? Okay.
Yeah, why not? It's a mess.
Nothing else about Ahsoka. I wanted to love it. I love the people involved. I love the main star. I love the look of it. The trailer made me excited.
I had one thing more to say about Ahsoka. Okay, this is something I want Dave's opinion on. I have 2 actors that I think could take over for Ray Stevenson.
Oh.
And I would like to give you the choice.
Sure.
Okay.
Sith Daddy.
Liev Schreiber. Pretty good.
You just made my heart jump.
Yeah.
Liev Schreiber. Liev Schreiber, if you're listening, I would be your slave.
Yeah. I don't think only the heart moved. at that moment.
No, you're
Everything
not
was.
wrong. You're
And
not
then
wrong. There was a little twitch there.
or I'm trying to find someone a little more British.
Oh, leave.
Jerry Butler could also do it.
Oh, yeah, Gerard Butler. Gerard Butler's, yeah, he could very easily. Gerard Butler's
He looks
closer-
more like Ray Stevenson.
looks more like him, right? And Gerard Butler has the right amount of scowl. He does sort of brooding really, really,
Mhm.
really well.
And he's cheap these days.
right. He's great, and he's also hot, and he would fill that role of Sith Daddy really well. Leave would give it some gravitas that
Mhm.
that is the kind of actor that Ray Stevenson was. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
Oh God, Liev Schreiber would be my number one pick, but they can't afford him. They couldn't
No.
afford Liev Schreiber.
You
Um,
think Disney's got that Ray Donovan money? No,
No,
not
no.
for
Oh,
not
God.
for a
He's-
side character. in
And just
Ahsoka.
beyond my obvious love for his physical form, he is a fucking incredible actor.
Yeah.
Like everything he does is just great. You know,
Yeah.
I just watched Scream 2 and 3
There you go.
with him in it. And it's like
So weird
he's
that
a
he's in that.
baby. He's such a baby in those
Yeah.
movies. As Cotton.
Oh, Mixed Nuts it's coming up for the season. Tis the season.
Oh,
Good Leaf Schreiber.
Oh,
He's in everything. It's
he's
crazy.
in everything. He's great.
Snow White.
Snow White.
Dave, what's happening with Snow White?
So it's been delayed. They haven't really said why. The
That's 'cause-
speculation is that they finally released an image
Yeah.
of the cast and with what's her name, Ziegler.
Rachel Ziegler.
Rachel Ziegler is Snow White, surrounded by bashful, doc, dopey, grumpy, happy, sleepy, and sneezy. And they had said, and they look just like their animated versions. But the thing is, they had said that they were magical creatures, not dwarves, because there was a
Mhm.
lot of pushback, and then there was some vocal criticism from Peter Dinklage, naturally,
Right.
about that, how this will represent the dwarf community.
Right.
I mean, here's the thing. I think he's right because it's live action. If this was,
Mhm.
you know, in animation, it's sort of like it is of its time. It's from the 30s. But even as animatronic characters in a coaster ride, the onus is off. They don't even say dwarf anywhere in
They're
that
not
ride.
gonna- Isn't it called Seven Dwarfs Mine Train?
Oh, it is, isn't it? I just thought it was.
But
Sorry, my
he's
bad.
right. They don't
It's-
say it on the ride.
They don't say it on the ride.
They don't say it on the
It's
ride.
blazoned everywhere else, but
Yeah, it's at that point to me, it's a brand. I
Yeah.
don't, you know, I understand that the dwarf community should have a voice in this,
right.
and is the live action version of that like
Here's the so yeah, okay.
But is
Go
it
ahead.
is it reinforcing negative stereotypes? That's the thing where
Yes.
I'm confused about.
right?
How does it reinforce negative stereotypes when the dwarves are supposed to be extremely kind? They are helpful. They are good people. They're helping this innocent woman.
Yeah.
That I don't know how it's reinforcing negative stereotypes besides because it's showcasing, I think, people in a positive light rather
need to
than
add
caricatures.
They need to add an eighth dwarf, Wokey, and he'll
Oh my God,
say
shut
all
up.
he'll say all this stuff in the movie, and so
Shut
it'll
up.
be okay.
I have no opinion of it until I see the movie, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
the optics aren't great. I'm glad Peter Dinklage spoke up about it. You know, the studio says that they consulted with members of the dwarfism community, which is all fine and good. But until we see contextually how they are handled as characters.
Yeah. Well, there was a couple things going on. There's that behind the scenes photo of her walking around with what seemed to be 7 dwarfs. And
Yeah.
the dwarfs were not dwarfs. They were just eclectic, hipstery
Yeah.
peeps.
Mhm.
And it seems that probably rightly, again, this is the hard kind of question, is that's not what we want. So that could be why
Right.
these are getting delayed. But I think
I
it's
feel
also
like
because it's
Mhm.
probably also because everyone's on goddamn strike and they have no material for a year to put out, and so
Yeah.
pushing this
That's-
back.
It's
helps.
not even just that. The movie's just filled with controversy when you're even looking at Rachel Ziegler in general. Like,
Yeah.
there's just a whole lot of things that are being said about her on Twitter, which are absolutely ridiculous. At the end of the day, she's just an actress fulfilling a role.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally what it is. So,
She really is. Like, and she's like, to be honest, I thought what she was in West Side Story, right?
yeah.
For me, that was, I assumed she was white. To be honest, I didn't know her
Well, she's
heritage.
half white.
Right, she's half white, and it's just like the original movie, for Christ's sakes, with
Mhm.
But I think people were more upset, not necessarily they were initially upset about her background, but I think it was what came out of her, I guess what she
Well, she didn't.
said
She
about
kind of didn't care.
feminism.
Yeah, about the
Like,
role.
yeah, like she made it seem like Snow White, the original Snow White, was um not a good representation of feminism.
Which it's not.
And
Which,
it's
well,
not.
here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I would say that when it comes to that specific topic, I think that there shouldn't just be necessarily one view of what women should be. Like, feminism can also include women that are homemakers, that love to, you know, that
Who
are
are kind to
soft, that are
animals, right? And
gentle, that are
yeah,
Right.
kind. Yeah, like we don't
Yeah.
need this girl bossness of every
No,
single
God,
character.
nobody
You
wants
know what
that
I
in
mean?
Snow White.
And that's
No,
that's
yeah.
what I think she was bringing in during a lot of her interviews that was being
Yeah.
misinterpreted
Yeah.
by people,
Yeah.
because that's not the feel of what we've seen from the movie so far. So I think
And-
with her, she needs a better team
Yeah.
surrounding her
And I want to be
that
clear
is
about
able to
Ziegler.
navigate that.
I want to be clear about Ziegler real quick. She's
Yeah.
one of us. She is a huge theme park nerd.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
and
theater
it
kid, theme park nerd. Yeah,
Just she's totally game for
and a-
this.
and a transcendent performer. She was
Yeah.
so good in
Super
West Side
Great.
Story.
Yeah.
I just love her, and I hate people throwing stones at her
Right.
before you even see the
Well,
freaking product.
Yeah.
But like, I
And
think the
she's
big
young.
thing.
She's absolutely
I know,
young.
she doesn't.
Yeah.
Right, she's
She
young.
needs a damn break too, because between
The girl's
Shazam,
working.
and I don't think Hunger Games is going to exactly blow up the box office. So
I
she's
think
gonna
the
need
big
something.
thing you're going to see as a difference in the story is how they set up her versus the evil queen. There's going to be
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where if there's a feminist story in this, it's going to be about that. It's going to be like the mother and Rapunzel. It's going to be something about a female dynamic, either
Yeah, and
mother,
they'll probably
daughter, or
consent the kiss in some way, or they'll kiss
Yes,
before
right,
they
sure.
kiss when she's asleep. Something
Right.
that
Right,
yeah,
something,
helps
which
in
is
that
fine.
area.
Yeah,
And
which
the-
is fine.
and the songs are from Pasek and Paul, the guys who did
Mhm.
the LA musical movie with that won the Oscar.
Oh,
La La Land?
La
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 Land.
Land. Sorry, La
Yeah.
La Land. They also did Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway.
Did they do?
Oh.
Did
they
they
do
do the music
The Greatest
for?
Showman?
Did they do the music
Oh,
for?
yes.
Who did the music for the last season of Only Murders in the Building? I think was that.
I think they did actually.
think
Yeah,
they-
I think they did.
Yeah.
They're huge, and they write.
Give me those
bangers.
Pickwick
Oh.
triplets. Let's have that in the parks. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be called dwarfs at all in this movie. I don't think
No.
the word's ever going to come out.
Nope.
I think what's
Well,
interesting.
is dwarf the right thing? Because I want us to get it right.
what
Is that
they
the right
were.
thing to say?
That's what they are in the that is what they
No,
are
no, but
in
is
the
it
book.
is that what it is now?
In the
is it-
movie or in life?
In life.
in life, is it like a little person or dwarf? Like, which one?
Little person. I don't know. I don't know.
I'll look
I would
it
have
up
to
later.
ask.
I've heard both sides of that.
I've heard both too.
It's
Okay.
it sort of lands in the do you embrace a term or do you move on to something else? What I would say is this is a very clear. There's a clear delineation between the concept of dwarfism and the mythical creature of a
Yes,
dwarf.
right.
Mhm,
Like the
mhm,
medical
mhm.
condition, the human condition that you're
Absolutely.
born into is called dwarfism.
Yeah. And I
Whether or
think
not the
it's-
community
It's
sees
based on the
themselves as that.
mystical term, correct? Or I don't
Yeah,
know.
with-
It's
with-
kind of
Well, the
chicken and
movie was
egg.
written way before, or not the movie, but the book was written way
Yeah.
before any scientific things were
Yeah,
done
right.
in this field. So
And so there's debate about what there is a medical term for it that's not that, and
Yeah.
it's much more clinical. But
Yeah.
I don't know where that lands, nor so I don't really have an opinion on it. But it
Mhm.
is evolving as language always evolves, and the
Yeah.
community in question should be the one that defines it.
oh, did you know that it could either be a genetic or a medical condition? I
Mhm.
did not know. It's like a or.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it can
you
be
can
anyone.
have dwarfism without it being a medical condition. That's pretty interesting.
Well, and it's not all
Okay.
or nothing. I have a friend whose mother is a little person, and he's got a bit of it in his blood, and so proportionally there are things about him that are interesting that you don't
wow.
really clock. But when he told me, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Looking at him, it's just his the way he holds himself and the proportions of his arms and his legs and to his head and everything.
Interesting.
It's just it's really fascinating. He doesn't consider himself a little person, but he has that in his genetics.
Yeah. There is the conversation to be had here too about what conversations would we have had about Gimli and Lord of the Rings if it was made now, in the sense of
Yeah.
having a tall actor play a small character? But then
Yeah.
again, the fact that the majority of the cast is playing characters who are smaller than
Right. Hobbits.
larger characters. So,
Yeah.
you kind of get into a realm where I don't particularly like. I find that at least by the concept art, there's and I know the dwarfs sort of have kind of an infant quality to them in
Mhm.
Snow White, especially the Disney version. But I think it would be different if these characters were human characters, even if they were actors of normal size that are shrunken down, a la Lord of the Rings. There's just something weird about being like, this is a live action movie, but 7 of these characters are an amalgam of human face and caricature. It's weird to mix this way, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And we know that this has been done multiple times before. There was Snow White and the Huntsman and other films that have
Yeah.
pulled this off and used. Basically, they did Lord of the Rings. They did British actors primarily playing the roles and then shrunk down. So I don't know. This is a weird medium. This is strange. I don't know what I think about this at all.
Yeah.
But we talked more about it than I wanted to. So there you go. Long podcast. Let's talk about Variety released a scathing overview of what's going on over at Marvel. Dave, what were your thoughts on this?
So yeah, I've read about 2/3 of this, and it's a long ass article, so
It
I need
is.
to read the rest of it. But the TLDR is that it's basically exposing that there are creative problems in the structure of the show and the structure of the writers' rooms, which we knew. There is backlash from the animators and the special effects people because they are crunched and overworked, and they are now on the cusp of unionizing, along with Disney animators. Did you see that? Disney Animation voted
Yeah.
yes to unionize, which is awesome. But it talks about just culturally how within Marvel they've had this run of hits that now there seems to be a chink in the armor, and I can't tell if the article is there just to like latching onto any wound they see and ripping it open. And it seems like part of it is that, but there's a lot of solid reporting and there's a lot of commentary from people in the industry saying this was bound to happen. It's not an about time we're going to take them down. It's more like something needs to change. Like they talk even about how Captain Marvel, or excuse me, The Marvels is in huge amount of reshoots and that it didn't test well. And I want that movie to succeed because the trailers look fun and I love those 3 characters, or those 3 performers. But they also had a problem in that, they were trying to knit the movies and the TV shows together too tightly. The TV shows were their own silos. They were not connected by any sort of writer's room. It was like Kevin Feige and a small group of brand people knew where everything was, but it's why there's sort of disconnects between some of the shows now. And there was no overall writer's Bible or writer's room.
Continuity is fairly accurate, but
Tonally, right?
It's all over the place.
It's because they don't do a traditional writer's room with a what do you call it? The
like a Bible, like a show Bible.
Showrunner.
Showrunner. Yeah,
their shows didn't have showrunners in most cases. They wrote from script to script to get from point A to point B that it had been left out for them, and that's resulted in a lot of tonal misfires on shows and movies. And there are movies that shouldn't have been movies. Like I still think Eternals should have been a miniseries.
Yep.
And not a
I
movie.
agree.
So it's a fascinating article. And then on top of it, you have the Jonathan Majors issue that he's right on the headed into a high profile trial in New York for domestic violence charges, which he refutes and says that he's the victim, but we don't really know. And Disney, of course, does not want to be in the middle of that.
Yeah.
So there's discussion.
And there's a lot of other people coming out and talking about.
Yeah, they're like
behavior.
bringing in things from like London that was the reason that this trial was even pushed into where it is now, which is crazy.
So, and they had put themselves firmly in the Kang is the next big baddie camp. And now they're rethinking that. Do we retool everything so that, Dr. Doom is our big guy
Dr.
instead?
Doom.
Or, and so they're
That's so dumb. To even think about doing that is dumb. Look, I have a solution. I think everyone's going to like this solution.
Recast.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think it's weird to just recast. But we have the ability to have variants, which is very helpful in this scenario
Yeah.
because we've already shown in Loki that variants don't have to be played by the same actor.
Yep.
Yeah.
For some reason, at the end of Ant-Man, they show all these Lokis in a Coliseum, and they all look like Jonathan Majors, and I'm like, that doesn't even make sense for the lore that you've created,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
which is really strange. But here's what I think: there is a Kang. He is smart. He has waited longer than the rest of the Kangs. He destroys all the other Kangs, and this older Kang is played by Denzel Washington, and
You like
immediately
him.
it's amazing.
Me like
10 out
him.
of 10.
Yeah,
10 out of 10. Would
Yeah.
see. Would watch.
yeah,
And it's hello Denzel Washington.
and it's more interesting.
Hello, Denzel Washington.
Hello.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you have a instead of it being like the same dude everywhere, you have one that is unique. That's why he can conquer, right? Because he is not at all like the other ones.
Yeah.
And you get a better, more high profile actor. You have to shadow this with a bigger actor. You can't, and you don't
You
have to,
do.
and you can't. It was so early on in the run, no one cared when Terrence Howard left. Terrence Howard was a B-level star, anyways. That's why he was in the first Iron Man movie. Like
Right.
it was cheap.
Mhm.
So that's not it doesn't really count. And Edward Norton's movie doesn't count, even if they want to count it. It just doesn't need to. I mean, it's fine. It's not a terrible movie, but like
No,
it doesn't
but-
need to count.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, this would be the first really kind of big one, and you can get away with it. So
Yeah.
go big is what I say.
And they
on this
have
one.
the money. They have the
They
money.
have the money.
They
Yeah.
have the money to get Denzel. And I think this is the problem with Marvel, and it really speaks to don't get too ahead of yourself. Like, do not
Always.
have these.
Did you not learn from Star
decade-long-
Wars?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
don't have these decade plus long plans expecting that shit is not going to hit the fan like
Mhm.
immediately. Like you should always have like the fact that they never had backup plans, I
It's
think
crazy.
speaks to how cocky and kind of like holier than that, or just like we're better than it. Like we know that it's just
Right.
gonna work out the way that it's supposed to, type of thing. Where it's just like you can't manifest your way to everything, babe. Like you just can't. Like shit is just gonna happen.
Well, the Russo brothers who did the Avengers movies, and Kevin Feige are way higher on their own supplies. One of the Russo brothers came out the other day, and Martin Scorsese did something where he was talking to
Yeah.
his dog, and his dog's name was Oscar, which
Yeah.
is
Oh, I
funny.
saw that.
And
Yeah.
this guy's like, "Oh, my dog's name is Box Office," and I'm like, "Bitch, no one knows who you are. You're not
Literally.
like you're nothing. Like you're a cog in a huge machine. Like you're
Yeah.
not an auteur.
Yeah.
You were a fucking
Comparing
TV.
yourself to Martin Scorsese,
You were
like
a
be
fucking
serious.
TV director who got lucky,
Yep.
and then you went on to make shitty Netflix movies. So shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the same goes for Feige. I love how this article was like, well, the genius of Kevin Feige is that he comes in post and he like fixes the problems. And my
Yeah.
thing is, you're not a genius if you fix it in post.
Yeah. Right.
That's
Yeah,
not.
Because
exactly.
why are
that's-
you not putting the right people in place so you don't have to fix it in post? Like
Yeah,
that should
and
be the
100%. You're not like there's it clearly shows that you don't know what you're doing if you have to keep coming in and saving, quote unquote, saving the day in post. Like that is
like
no wonder they're
this-
unionizing.
no, literally, like this part of the article where it says writing the Marvel obituary would be ill-advised. The Kevin Feige is the Babe Ruth of movie executives, and Marvel has the most profitable track record in movie history, no question. But that's in the past. Like
Yeah.
they're not taking into account the recent things that have been coming out and all of the millions of movies or TV shows that we've seen come to like Disney Plus. Like, is he really the Babe Ruth of movie executives? Like, I don't really know. It doesn't
Yeah.
really seem that way right now because he's making a lot of decisions that are very just like, oh, we need to make sure that we are the most profitable, but at like what cost? Because it's really
Yeah.
just giving like quantity over quality right now.
Well,
Mhm.
and while I think most of the movies have been okay movies, 3 out of 5s in that sense, beyond like for me, Doctor Strange and the last Spider-Man movie, they've all kind of not worked for me, or they felt too bland. I think
Mhm.
I think Eternals is the most beautiful movie Marvel's ever made, but I don't think
Absolutely.
it works as a movie.
No, not at all.
you know, some people are like, what about Guardians 3? And I'm like, I hated Guardians 3. It was totally completely different. It was a
Yeah.
mess. Even
Yeah.
if it does kind of hit the heartstrings in certain moments, I just think that everything
Yeah.
feels very unfocused, and either you let auteurs or people who are interested in doing things do things, or you Feige it up all over everything. The thing about the Marvels, which I think is interesting, is like that director is pretty fresh, and this is what they've been doing, right? They were accused of bringing in fresh directors and then railroading them, and they're like, no, 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 we're not doing that anymore. We're letting Sam Raimi direct this movie, and da 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 da, and you know, in the end, they're still railroading these directors. She's off making another movie because she knows that she's got no say at this point. And
Yeah.
the article tries to blame her, like it's
Oh, yeah.
weird, and
And
it's
it's like, no, Spielberg went off to direct Schindler's List in the middle of Jurassic Park
Yeah.
2. Like,
Right.
shut it. The people are pointing a finger at that, and it's like, no, you're doing that because she's a woman. That's the
Yeah.
only reason
Mhm.
you're doing that.
Yeah.
Tons of other directors do that.
Yeah,
Tons.
all the time. Yeah, and so and you know what? If you didn't have a movie that was like 98% special effects and you needed those to run for 6 months, like you
Yeah.
can't keep a director like sitting around waiting for
No,
stuff. That's
no.
stupid.
Of course not.
And so yeah, this is a mess, and uh, I think it is wise of Disney at this point to have brought a lot of these characters in as meet and greets in Marvel,
Mhm.
and they've really stuck with like, okay, here are the kind of, even if you don't really watch any of it, you know who Iron Man is and Captain America, and
Yeah. Right.
Ant-Man might be the weird one, but like, okay, you know, and I don't think I think Black Panther could have been something, and I think Boseman's passing, I don't think it's got the same vibe. I don't think it's
Right.
as accepted anymore by the culture, because it was fine, but um, yeah, it's weird. But I'm ready for it. I'm so ready for Hollywood to be like, why don't we just make mid-tier movies that's got talking and actors, and we can make, wow, we can make 20 movies for the price of one Marvel movie. That's crazy. What if we did that? And then maybe we'll recoup what we're trying to do instead of making these huge bets. Yeah, that was the industry. That was called the 70s. Do that again. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's move on. I want to talk a little bit about theme park industry stuff. We have some big news coming up. Before I get to that, I want to talk a little bit about my trip. Sorry, I got to talk about her trip, so I got to talk about my trip. I went to Kansas City and went to the Themed Entertainment Association, their big sort of powwow for the year. And those who don't know, that is basically one of the two sort of industry conventions of the year.
It's
If
called
it is
SATE.
SATE is TEA's like,
Storytelling, Architecture, Technology, and Entertainment. It's like their TED Talk
yeah, pretty
conference,
much.
basically.
Yeah, and so if you've heard of IAPA is sort of the business of theme park business, and SATE is very much sort of the creative, the theme park part, or the immersive experience part. So we talked escape rooms, and we talked the Kansas City Stadium. We had the president of the Chiefs come down and talk to us about the stadium. We talked a little bit about Union Station, what they've done there, and yeah, it was fascinating. And as someone who is in the teaching field, getting to talk to people who kind of make it clear to me, yeah, we desperately need liberal arts students, and we want liberal arts students from a bevy of things inside of what you do. So I'm in communication, but our Fulton School of the Arts is theater and all sorts of other areas, and design, and it is certainly a thing that we're exploring about how we can use immersive experience as an internship opportunity, and also maybe a minor, things like that. And early. Let me make this very clear. Early days of figuring that out, but it was one of those experiences where I left feeling a part of it. I felt I didn't feel separated. I felt very brought in by people, and I felt like I had some very interesting conversations that gave me an opportunity to sort of, as much as I love this industry, I wouldn't say I understand this industry yet. And I think that's the way I need to treat it. So in that way, getting to talk to people who are knee deep into it, you start to get an idea of sort of the backdrop. There was an excellent sort of talk about how a lot of these things in many years have been, even inside of the industry, have been sort of siloed. So, you know, there's theme park people and hotel people, and all that stuff is sort of kind of, all those bottles have been knocked over and everyone's playing in everyone's fields now, even inside of the industry. And so it was really interesting to think about that in the same way as I'm thinking about how majors work and how we can incorporate things. And it was very
Cool.
inspiring, and I was very happy that I got to go. And I only missed that Dave couldn't make it. Dave was my ticket the whole time, though, because I just said, yeah, I know Dave Cobb. And then I got into conversations and people were like, oh, you know Dave, Dave's great. Because it's really hard. It's bizarre to go to something where you're like, not, I mean, luckily I early on found a couple other educators that were there. So I didn't feel like I was like some rando educator in the middle of an industry thing. But it was nice to be able to also drop a name that had people had very, very good vibes. So Dave, you're well liked. And
that was literally me walking around Warner Brothers. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, my friend helped design this part. Yeah, my friend. Yeah. He's the genius behind this.
Yeah, there's actually one of the presentations this year at SATE was a gal who saw me speak back in 2013.
Yep.
And based sort of used my talk as a jumping off point for a new discussion of like fandom and social capital in the parks.
and telling people that fandoms exist, and reminding them of that, and bringing up your work in Batu Pride. And it was awesome to see your stuff represented, and a lot of talk about AI, and a lot of fear about AI.
Sure.
But also a lot of well-needed conversations. So yeah, it was a really good experience, and it was great to actually feel I had a reason to use my LinkedIn, and connect to people. But you know what? I already talked to people about there's a Maryland company here that does pyro and other things for different stuff, and they're great. And I haven't done it yet because I've been so busy, but I'm connecting our theater department to them, and making those connections. So that's what it's
awesome.
all about. Yeah. So totally worth it. And it'll only be better when Dave gets to go. Dave, I don't know if you saw, but one of the options that has been put around for next year about where to go is Dollywood.
I've never been.
I'm very, very pro. It was in the survey. It was like,
it's
have you heard of these places? And I'm like, I've heard of Dollywood. Let's go there.
Where was the other place?
I think Vegas might have been one, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of Sphere talk, by the way. People, Sphere's a huge deal, of course. And
I have strong opinions.
I'm excited to hear those at some point for sure.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah. So it was. There's lots of. There's still a lot on the table, but it's just I'm excited to go with you, Dave. I'm excited to get the full Cobb experience.
It's funny, we were my boss floated the idea of going, but only if we could submit a talk, right? Like we don't. The company I'm with now doesn't necessarily need to network as much because we're not really a work for hire company. We build stuff for ourselves, and we want to be thought leaders in the mixed reality, augmented reality space. So. And we had a couple of ideas, but I missed the deadline by like a week for submissions. So we'll definitely going to try for next year for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were doing some VR demonstrations outside. So
yeah, we wanted to bring the game and demo it, but
for sure, totally worth it doing. It'd be exciting. Yeah. All right, let's move on to I think this is probably the biggest news of this podcast. We haven't talked a lot, but this is huge.
This is a long one.
This is a long one. We've had a lot to talk, and I don't feel like we've really stayed on one topic too much. It's just been a lot of news and a lot of cool reports. Cedar Fair and Six Flags are merging. It's very crazy. And I am hearing a lot of I wouldn't say promise from people inside of the circles that I'm running, but a lot of hesitation, to say the least.
I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good.
I think it's very interesting to say the least.
Everybody
Uh,
talks about how it can't be a monopoly because of the amount of money that it's only what 8 billion or something when both companies combined. It's
Yeah.
not about that. It's about
No.
it's a small segment of entertainment anyway, and now you're
Mhm.
diluting it. I think that you're going to have, of course, they have a couple of regions where they have two competing parks. One of them's going to close. They're not going to keep
Yep.
both open in some places. You are
By the
also
way,
going to,
so people have an idea here. It's 27 theme parks, 15 water
yeah,
parks, 9 hotels and resorts that are all
and
merging.
and a couple of those Six Flags doesn't own. They only run.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen with those? Are they going to cut them loose? I have a feeling they're going to look at the revenue from all the parks and list it, and the bottom five, they might get rid of. I think it's going to ruin. If they maintain some autonomy of the parks, I'll be happy. Like if Knott's loses all the stuff that they've gained over the last couple of
I
years,
can't fathom that.
like don't call it Six Flags Knott's, please don't.
Jesus Christ.
But when you look at like what Six Flags did with, like, say, Fiesta Texas, right?
Mhm.
Jeffrey Siebert was the general manager of that place. I worked with him back in the Paramount Parks days, and they let him do his thing in that park, and they
Right.
didn't Six Flagsify it too much.
Mhm.
And so I think if they do what Cedar Fair has done with Knott's, which is realize, yes, it's part of a chain, but it is a local favorite because of this, and
Because it's local.
let the parks keep their identity somewhat.
Yeah.
And that's been the problem with Six Flags, is they've homogenized all their parks. They've added IP that I don't think moves the needle in terms of bringing people in. I have a lot of friends who do great work at Warner Brothers, putting DC Comics on those parks. Good for them. They do great work. I don't think it actually is the reason people go. And so
No.
now
It's the
you
only
have,
place to go to a roller coaster for a lot of people.
right.
Like
That's true.
honestly, like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you grow up, like when I grew up in Indiana, like it was there was two places, right? And it was Kings Island or
Yeah.
oh gosh, what's the big roller coaster one? Cedar
To your point.
Cedar Point. Yeah. So those were the two. And yeah, neither of those parks were really known for their characters ever. It was like, I'm going to go ride the beast. Like you went for what was there, not the IP.
Yeah. And again, not that they shouldn't have IP. I think
No.
it's fun if they want to include them, and the ones that are in their respective parks are beloved. But now it's like it's Looney Tunes and it's Peanuts and it's DC Comics, and there's a lot, like, they got to sort through all those deals.
Mhm.
Is Warner Brothers and DC even going to be happy to be spread that thin across that many parks? Are they going to, I saw somebody speculate, maybe it was Robert Niles at Theme Park Insider. His commentary on this, by the way, is
It's
really
good.
great. Yeah, it's a good article that makes some really good observations about all this. One of them was like, I saw a fan theory that it was like, well, maybe Warner Brothers DC doesn't want to be part of all this, and if they pull out, that means Comcast Universal can license them to replace Marvel Land. And I'm like, that's not going to happen right now, but okay, nice thought.
It's a far-fetched one, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it is. I don't know. I also just think from a competition and innovation and capital spending standpoint, it spreads all of their capital very thin, and I think you're not going to get as much competition. Now, the good thing is the coaster arms race might be over, thank God, because that did
yeah.
not benefit those parks throughout the 90s and early aughts. I'm sorry, thrill lovers and coaster fans. It ruined a lot of regional parks because it drove
Yeah.
away a family audience. And parks that invested in family attractions and shows and stuff for kids and parades benefited in the last
Yeah.
15, 20 years. Like, that's exactly what
Look
I
at
did when
Knott's.
I was at Paramount Parks. Look at Knott's. When I was at Paramount, that's why we put in things like the Italian Job and a SpongeBob parade,
Mhm.
because they were not big, huge record-setting coasters. They were for families, and the parks, their business did better because of it. They did better season pass sales. Knott's, for the same reason, their season pass sales are through the roof right now because they charge $100 and there's something for the family to do, and it's not Disney prices. So I think that there could be good in this. My concern is that it's gonna ruin a lot of the competitive nature and the local nature of some of these parks, and I hope they don't lose sight of that.
I'm encouraged by it being at Cedar Fair's headquarters and not
Yeah.
at Six Flags headquarters.
Right. And actually, fun fact, the Cedar Fair headquarters that are in North Carolina, right near Carowinds, they didn't used to be based there. They moved in there. Those are the Paramount Parks offices that I worked out of
That's funny.
for a month out of every year
Yeah.
between 2003 and 2006. I would live in Charlotte for like a couple of weeks of every month, and yeah, and they're keeping that office, which is great. And there's some very smart people in those offices. The marketing team behind Paramount Parks stayed on board to sort of upgrade Cedar Fair in a lot of ways, from their marketing and merchandise and food. Because it was run, Dick Kunzel was very old when they sold those parks. And he was like, I was on the team of people that did the park walks with the Paramount team when they were buying them, and sort of walked through every park and talked about where everything was and future projects and, blah, 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 all that stuff. And we knew the brands were going. So I wasn't there to sort of argue for the Paramount brands. Those were all going out the window. But it was very funny, because when we would talk about things, his assistant would be like, can you fax me that information? This is 2006, by the way. And we were like, really? And so Dick Kunzel was of an era that just didn't use email and didn't have a cell phone, and that's not a knock against him, but it's like the merger that they made with the Paramount Parks, I think, actually notched things up a little. And you see that in Cedar Point, you see that in Knott's. Those parks are really lovely, and not that they weren't before, but I think there's a local savviness that they've capitalized on, especially places like Knott's. So hopefully this is a good thing. Both of them were struggling in this post-COVID market, Six Flags especially. So I'm not surprised. The thing is, this has been talked about since the Dick Kunzel days. This is not new. They've talked about this for 2 decades.
Yeah. And
they've talked about it for a long time.
I don't want to besmirch anyone's work, or I don't want to besmirch anyone's jobs, but I would say we would probably be okay with a couple less Six Flags parks. Like,
yes.
I think if you're not going to run it right, don't run it. And a lot of these have gotten kind of long in the tooth, and they don't fit the market. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at whatever. I don't know what their new name's going to be. I think the article said that it would be smart to use Six Flags. I actually think Six Flags they might have brand awareness, but I think it's terrible brand awareness.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like calling it Fun Spot. Like I don't need you to call it Six Flags anything. I don't think they'll put Six Flags on properties anymore. I don't think there's I think it might fall more into the Cedar Fair idea of putting it behind the scenes.
Yes, it's like the Cedar Fair is not in front of the name on a lot of their parks.
No,
and
just
I think
Cedar
that's the right way to
Point
go.
is the only, and that's
Cedar
doesn't
Point is the only
sound
one.
really anything like it. So it's the way to go.
Yeah.
Weirdly, there's and we can talk about like Kings Island, Kings Dominion. That's a whole different story. Why those are sort of named similar and things, but at least they're named similar to. It's kind of like having a Magic Kingdom and a Disneyland and a Disney World. It's different. It's theme park based name changes instead of being like put your corporate at the top, which is strange.
Yeah, it is weird.
And and you can't really differentiate any of them. Like they all, Six Flags is a Merc in my head. It's just like a big puddle. I don't is that it's where is that one? So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how this pans out. So we're talking whatever this new merge company is, Disney, Universal, and SeaWorld would be the big players, right? Is there anyone I'm forgetting in North America, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, you have the true regionals. You have Dollywood, you have Holiday World, you have the
of course,
Silver Dollar City. You have the parks that, and actually Dollywood, Herschend owns a bunch of parks as well. So
that's true.
I don't know. I hope for the best, but conglomerates are not often a good thing.
No,
Generally
not. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of things that aren't a good thing, it's Beware Our Guest. Okay, we have a continuation of a story we talked about not too long ago, kind of. So if you remember, a while ago, we had a report of people stealing, or this person stealing stuff from strollers. Walt Disney World News Today did some searching. And they figured out, this was the guy that got caught. He was stealing car keys from strollers, and then he would go into the parking lots and look through cars and stuff.
Yeah.
It looks like other people that same very day had their materials. It looks like their strollers at Animal Kingdom where sort of things were missing out of those, beside Dinosaur and Festival of the Lion King. It also looks like I think it was Animal Kingdom, and then maybe in Epcot as well. Some more things at Epcot. So it looks like this guy went on a tear. But I just want to talk about things that people. This is sort of a beware a guest, but also a what the heck guest scenario. People
Yeah.
are leaving banshees in their strollers, which I kind of get. Like it's a you don't think your kid has like toys they bring in probably, and then like no one's stealing that stuff, and then there's a
Yeah.
banshee and you buy it and you're like, all right, here you go, and then you forget it. But wallets, bundles of cash, how do you, I mean, I guess you're
Why
just
are you
tired.
leaving that?
Yeah
Come on.
it's insane. I think this stuff's crazy. But so it's a mix here. Clearly no one should be stealing anything, but also I think there's a stroller issue. There's always been a stroller issue in recent years with that, but it's crazy. One guy lost $400. $400 in your stroller. I don't even bring cash into the parks. I don't even know how that works.
Yeah.
So crazy. So that's a first story. The last one sucks even more. A guest has jumped into the Italy Pavilion, off the Italy Pavilion bridge, on a bet. So he just jumped in the water.
You know
don't
what's
wanna be in
crazy
that
about
water.
that?
You don't want to be in that water.
No, you won't
FYI.
be
Yeah,
in that water.
you don't want to be in that water.
No, man.
Nasty. But what's even crazier was Victoria made a TikTok about it, and she was talking about how the shoes that this man is wearing cost about, I think it's like $1,500 to $2,000.
Was it a sneaker pimp of some sort? So like
Some
high-end-
sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the shoes were like super expensive. So to jump in
Okay.
that water and get flesh-eating freaking bacteria, and then you lost your shoes for a bet? Crazy.
But did they come off?
No, I don't know. But
No,
he
but
was
they're
just
still
like,
super
they're
gross.
just, just ruined them.
they're
Yeah,
just
okay.
they just ruined the shoe. Like
Yeah.
first of all, why are you wearing $2,000 shoes to a theme park?
To a-
Like,
well,
that's even
yeah, whatever.
you're already stupid from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So good luck with your bacteria. Hope
Well,
you
he's
don't
got
get
some-
typhoid.
He's got some like militia shirt on or something too, like some gun shirt, some sort of
He
black
deserves it.
rifle coffee company
Ugh.
bullshit. I don't know.
Gross.
I hate this, and I'm tired of saying Epcot needs a alcohol limit, but it needs an alcohol limit. This is 100% an
It does.
alcohol thing. This
Absolutely.
is insane. I kind of let me preface this. I don't want anyone to die, but theoretically, if this alcoholic drunk man had jumped into this water and drowned, there would be actual conversations about maybe people are too drunk at Epcot and maybe something needs to
Yeah.
be done about it.
Yeah.
This is just another guy that showboats and kind of gets away with it. I don't know if he got,
Listen,
huh?
I'm gonna be harsh for a second.
Be
and I know you
harsh,
said that
girl.
you don't want people to die, but like, I don't know. I think we need to start weeding off the population because some of
Yeah.
y'all are stupid as hell.
Well,
Like,
here's the thing. You are also
should not be
you just were
happening.
in Tokyo and you become very used to the nicest, most like, polite and well
Yeah.
kept
Yeah.
and well parented guests you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
So I can imagine this is like coming home and it's just like, what
It's
the
not
hell
even
is
just
this?
that. Like, it's just we constantly hear shit, especially at a fucking Epcot. Like, Epcot is the park where
Yeah.
you consistently see this type of stuff, and it's
Yeah.
getting to a point where it's like,
Well, no one goes
You
and has
guys
a
are ruining-
bachelorette party at like Hollywood Studios. You never
Yeah.
hear about that.
no, yeah, Epcot has become Nashville. It is literally the Nashville. Like, it's just so horrible. Like, you don't want to be there. You know, it's ruining the experience. Like, and I think I get it. It's like, okay, you want to be stupid, you want to have a little fun time, you want to drink, you want to joke around, you want to have fun with the homies. Cool, love that for you. But I think we really need to like examine the people that go to these theme parks specifically just to drink. Like, I think
That's
y'all
a
need help.
That's a
Like,
problem.
seriously.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
a lot of
I
money
see
too.
it, and I see it on.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and again, it's gonna sound harsh, and the people that are listening, y'all could do whatever. But to be going to the theme park specifically just to drink, I see this a lot on Twitter too, where it's like, that's all you're gonna do, just go to the theme parks and drink, not even ride the rides, not even eat the food, just to drink. If you want to drink, go to the dingy bar down the street. You're saving like probably $10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't. It's just such a waste. Like, I think it's ridiculous.
Well, I don't
Sorry.
mind. I don't mind the locals who are, because it's their park, they tend to be better, well behaved generally.
Oh, that's fine. Like, the
because they
people that
don't
are just
wanna get
meeting up
kicked
with
out.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah,
those
but
those
you're
people are
right.
cool.
these bros that show up and treat it like it's I don't know, a music
A frat
festival
party,
or-
spring break,
yeah,
like
it's crazy.
it's
to me.
not that.
No. Remember when Epcot had like food that sing to you? Like it was just a simpler time. Maybe we should get back there someday. Anyway, we're gonna finish up. We need. I think we can all agree we need to vibe back out a little bit and kind of chill. So we're gonna chill here with, of course, the Studer computer haikuter.
That's why I'm a router for the computer. Everybody needs a friend.
Oh, a Studer, we are, of course, feeling it right now. We're a little. I feel like I'm praying to a Studer. Oh, a Studer, bless us this evening. Studer, please bless us with a poem, a haiku, as it were, on maybe, let's say, the Marvel news. I think the Marvel news is a good place to go. So what do you got, Marvel news wise? Let's see here. Okay. Marvel's tangled web. Superheroes face a test. Reshoots. Doubts ahead. Thank you, Studer.
Wow.
Thank you. I feel better. I feel better. I mean, I feel a
Groovy,
little.
I
man.
feel more zenned out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Groovy.
double that zen. Double that zen. It always repeats. I have no idea why. Maybe it's the actual audio. I need to like fix that. I need to be a better producer. I gotta fix my audio.
You're
okay.
a great producer.
Oh, you're nice. You're nice. And you're nice too, people. If you go to bit.ly/ratcastle and see all we're up to, there's, of course, still shirts available. All of our Ride with Pride and our Allies Can Be Eye Candy shirts. Still, that money goes to the Trevor Project if you buy those. And, of course, give us a 5-star rating on Apple. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, come on. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple. Let me see if there's any 5-star ratings before we're done in this lengthy, massive episode that we have given you. We give you so much good content. You're gonna come to me and not give me a 5-star rating?
How dare you?
How dare you?
So rude.
Absolutely dare you.
Hey,
Rude.
hey, audience. Hey, audience. Fuck you. That's what I like to say. Fuck you for not giving me a 5-star review. I'm getting mad now. No, it's okay. We're gonna.
I thought we just zenned
Ask
out.
us-
I'm sorry.
Ask
I'm
us
sorry.
some questions. Ask us
I
some
have one.
questions. We
Ask
love that.
questions.
Yeah, ask us questions. Did we read the one from Joseph Clow on September 11th? Never forget.
I
That's when he
don't-
gave us 5
Never
stars.
forget.
Never forget. He gave us 5 stars on September 11th. I will read it again if we haven't. Happy 50th Rats. As a current WDWCM and a former annual pass podcast listener, RIP. It is so wonderful and refreshing to hear you guys take your takes on everything coming out of the parks. Dave, Nathan, Janine, Victoria, and Saara are all fantastic. Highly recommend. You won't regret it. Thank you so much for that. We
Aw.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
We've had a couple AP annual pass people show up here since that podcast is sort of sunset. So we are more than welcome to take you. Come join us and bless us with your questions and whatnot. So if you haven't, you can subscribe, of course, and tell your friends. You can subscribe anywhere. That bit.ly/ratcastle has all the information. And I would say, I don't know, maybe let's see here. I'm gonna try something just for you, Saara. I don't think I can do it, but let's see here.
Okay.
Let's see. Here, give me 1 second. So at the end of this podcast,
荷物を持って左側に出ます。
Ah!
はい。どうぞ。
はい。
Will you stop this foolishness?
What foolishness would you like to see?
Will you get out of here?